Chapter 722. Qin Xiaotian no longer hesitated as he shouted, Wu Shuang, Taichong, Xiaohong, Jining and Qin Hao, what do you five need to prepare? I will give you 1 hour, prepare quickly and gather here. Qin Taichong and the others no longer hesitated as they all went. When they saw Qin Wushuang standing at the scene, Qin Xiaotian could not refrain from asking, Wushuang, don't you have anything to prepare? Qin Wushuang shook his head. I only have one wish, I want to take Miss Mu Rong with me. Wushuang, do you know what kind of heavy responsibility you bear when you leave this time? Qin Xiaotian asked with an indifferent tone. Yes, Wushuang, at this moment, you must not let your emotions affect your decisions. To you, taking Miss Mu Rong will be inconvenient for you to carry out your task. Qin Wushuang shook his head. Please grant my wish. I will not take Miss Mu Rong with me to take the risk. I will put her in a safe place. Qin Xiaotian gave a long sigh. In this case, it's all right. To break into the Supreme Tao stage, you must not have any inner demons. If this Miss Mu Rong becomes your inner demon, in the end it will not be a good thing. For this matter I approve. Thank you for granting my wish, head chief. Qin Xiaotian waved his hand. Go and let Miss Mu Rong prepare. In 1 hour, I will send you guys out of the aspiring throne mountain. After Qin Wushuang left, Qin Chongyang revealed a worried expression. Head chief, it seems the imposing manner of this yellow light is extraordinary, it must be a totem object. I am afraid it will not be easy for the Qin clan to pass this pass. Qin Xiaotian gave a slight sneer. Not necessarily, I am only worried that Xian Tianwen has other trump cards. If it's just this totem object, it will not be enough to destroy the Qin clan completely. For this object to break my 8 desolation and 6 directions formation, without a few years, it will not be done. What about a totem elite warrior? For a single totem elite warrior to come, unless it's Xian Yuan Yang, the head chief of the Xian Yuan clan. Or else, even for other Xian Yuan elite warriors, they will need to use some brain power to break this formation. Qin Chongyang said, I still feel it's impossible for the Xian Yuan clan to step out. After all, the Qin clan has never lost respect for the Xian Yuan clan. We also have thorough etiquette. For the Xian Yuan clan, it's impossible for them to kill the Qin clan for no reason. I'm afraid that the Xian Yuan elite has secretly given some help to the Heavenly Emperor Gate. And, no matter what, this formation must not be broken. Chongyang Yunran, listen carefully. If this thing destroys my formation quickly, I will choose to sacrifice the power of my spirit and try to seal it. This item has no owner, and no totem elite warrior is controlling it personally. Perhaps my soul power can achieve the effect of sealing it. However, this way, my divine soul will suffer great injuries. Next, it will be difficult for me to fight for the Qin clan. You two will be responsible for this great undertaking of protecting the Qin clan. Qin Yunran and Qin Chongyang looked at each other. They were both shocked. The big master spoke calmly, but how could they not hear the solemn and stirring meaning behind his words? The head sect master's actions showed that if he did not succeed, he would die trying. Qin Xiaotian said in a ghastly tone, I presume all of you are aware that once the soul is activated to seal it, it will be injured at best, and it will be shattered to death at worst. Head sect master, you don't need to say anything. Although I am a few thousand years older than you, it's fate that I am able to be the chief of the Qin clan at the Supreme Tao stage. To fight for the Qin clan, regardless of life or death, when I was still a 3 feet young child, I already understood this. Therefore, even if I die because of this, you don't need to be sad. You only need to take over my great responsibility and pass down the spirit of the Qin clan. Believe me, the Qin clan will not be destroyed. Qin Xiaotian gave a light sigh as if he was whispering. However, within this whisper, it revealed Qin Xiaotian's boundless expression and blessing to the Qin clan. It also revealed Qin Xiaotian's unhurried spirit of going forward despite facing millions of people. If he did not fear death, how could he be confused? Qin Yunran and Qin Chongyang were both elite warriors of the Supreme Dao stage. Currently, they were controlled by a form of indescribable emotion. Inwardly, a surge of violent waves kept surging. If even the head sect master spoke this way, then the Qin clan was truly encountering an unprecedented crisis. Indeed, the interference of the totem clan was a predicament the Qin clan had never encountered before. The difficulty of such predicament did not lie in the immediate crisis, but in the unpredictable future. Just how terrifying the disaster brought by the interference of the totem clan would be, even the head sect master could not predict it. Just as they were feeling sad, footsteps came from outside the door. The three sect leaders simultaneously withdrew their dignified expressions and regained their composure. Qin Wushuang and Murong Su had already arrived first. Bao Bao and the Purple Flame Electric Beast also arrived. Not long after, the other four also arrived one after another. It only took a quarter of an hour from start to finish. Qin Xiaotian nodded and said, "I will not speak any more superfluous words. If the Qin clan is not destroyed in 16 years, the mountain gate of the aspiring throne mountain will still be open to welcome you back. If the Qin clan encounters a great calamity, you must endure the humiliation and shoulder the heavy burden. You must pass on the legacy of the Qin clan. As long as one of you is alive, the legacy of the Qin clan will not be cut off, understand?" "Yes." Qin Xiaotian said again, "Remember, in these 16 years, you must not use the communication jade plate to contact the headquarters of the Qin clan. You must also not contact each other. It's because with Xin Tianwen's power, he can lock onto your position through the subtle senses of the communication jade plate. As for the communication between you guys, initially it does not matter much. However, if one of you gets caught once you contact each other, it's possible that your position will be locked onto. Therefore, unless it's absolutely necessary, try not to contact each other. Of course, for this matter, you can make your own decision. When it's safe, how to judge, and act according to circumstances, all of these will depend on your own understanding. Do you all understand?" Qin Wushuang and the others all nodded. "Yes." "Follow me." Qin Xiaotian did not speak any more superfluous words as he led the five of them to walk towards the back mountain behind the upright morality hall. After a few twists and turns, they finally arrived at a hidden deep underground cave. Qin Xiaotian pointed to a transportation stone formation and said, "This formation can send you to a hidden valley outside the aspiring throne mountain. Each time, at most 4 people can be transported. You will be transported in batches." Qin Wushuang said with a smile, "Then please go ahead, I will bring up the rear." Qin Wushuang, Murong Su, plus 2 spiritual beasts, it was also 4 people. Qin Taichong and the others shook hands with Qin Wushuang and agreed to meet again in 16 years. When they parted ways, it seemed as if there was a stone pressing on their hearts. After Qin Taichong and the others left through transportation, Qin Xiaotian said with a smile after a little more than an hour, "Great, for the first group, we did not encounter any problems. Wushuang, are you ready?" Qin Wushuang nodded. "Head Chief, I am ready." Wushuang, to Taichong and the others, I did not say much. To you, I must say, take care. The rise and fall of the Qin clan will surely depend on you. Qin Wushuang said seriously, "Head Chief, you should also take care. I will not disappoint you." When the stone formation was activated, Wushuang and Murong Su were wrapped in lights and also entered the transportation channel. With the sound of the wind whistling in their ears, in a moment, when they opened their eyes, they had already arrived outside a mountain valley. Now, Qin Taichong and the others had already gone far away. They did not wait for Qin Wushuang at the same place. Qin Wushuang observed the terrain and covered the surrounding with his spiritual perception. When he did not detect any abnormal situation, he said to Murong Su, "Su heir, I am going to the endless eastern sea. Are you willing to come with me or return to the floating snow house?" Murong Su said with determination, "I will follow you in life and death." Qin Wushuang nodded. "Alright, Bao Bao Lone, come here and look at this map. This is the Judge Mountain Prefecture, this is the Crest Mountain. You and I are familiar with this place. Keep walking this way. At a rather hidden place, there is a mountain shaped like a tortoise. It's called the Tortoise King Mountain. Wait for me there. There is a mountain cave at the Tortoise King Mountain. As for the exact route, I have already marked it." "Boss, what do you mean?" Bao Bao blinked his eyes and was somewhat confused. "Are you not coming with us?" Qin Wushuang looked at the southeast corner coldly and said with a determined tone, "If I leave like this, I will feel unreconciled and unhappy." Murong Su's delicate body trembled slightly as she revealed an astonished expression. She was an exceptionally smart girl and of course, she had guessed Qin Wushuang's intention. "Brother Qin, are you going to attack the Heavenly Emperor Gate?" Qin Wushuang looked at Murong Su with a determined gaze. "Su heir, will you stop me?" Endless tenderness flashed in Murong Su's eyes. Inwardly, she was extremely unwilling, yet in the end she did not show it. Instead, she said, "Brother Qin, I like your decisive personality. If you are going to do it, just do it. Regardless of what you do, I will support you." Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was overjoyed as he grabbed Murong Su's soft and tender hand. "Su heir, I promise you that I will regroup with you guys at the Tortoise King Mountain. Along the way, dress up as freelance martial artists and do not attract any attention. I will let the sealed spiritual beasts cover your rear. Besides these supreme Tao warriors at the aspiring Throne Mountain, not many can do anything to you guys. With the protection of the sealed spiritual beasts, it will be foolproof." Without further ado, Murong Su, Bao Bao and the others dressed up. Qin Wushuang took out the sealed scroll and summoned 3 perfect void martial stage and 2 ravine mysterious martial stage. In total, there were 5 spiritual beasts. After he had finished giving out instructions, he sent Murong Su and the others out of the border. Qin Wushuang escorted them in secret. Only when they were far away from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain did he return quietly. When he returned to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, Qin Wushuang's entire body was like a sharp blade that was filled with sharpness and murderous intentions. Along the way back, Qin Wushuang did not do anything as he immersed himself in the control of the graceful spiritual Bao. Recently, Qin Wushuang discovered that indeed, this graceful spiritual Bao was filled with mysteries. Each time he conversed with the graceful spiritual Bao, he could sense a form of indescribable murderous intentions. The presence within the murderous intent also kept shaping Qin Wushuang's personality and sharpening Qin Wushuang's temperament. Vividly, Qin Wushuang found a form of compatibility with the graceful spiritual Bao. When he held the graceful spiritual Bao in his hand, Qin Wushuang even felt as if he was the ruler of the world. Inwardly, the surge of murderous intentions surged like a broken dam. Kill, kill, kill. He would kill to his heart's content at the Heavenly Emperor Gate. When the Heavenly Emperor Gate attacked the Qin clan, could it be that I, Qin Wushuang, could not attack the Heavenly Emperor Gate? With the graceful spiritual Bao, besides Xian Tianwen, Qin Wushuang felt that he would not care about anyone else at the Heavenly Emperor Gate. Therefore, a bold idea emerged from his mind. He decided to kill his way to the Heavenly Emperor Gate. Even if he could not change the battle situation, he would dampen the spirit of the Heavenly Emperor Gate. During the day tomorrow, there will be a power cut at Old Bull's area. The update will only come at night. If you come early, Old Bull will also update at 4. Wushuang needs to vent his anger. Tomorrow's chapter should be somewhat interesting. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please log on to www.chidian.com. More chapters, support the author, support the original reading. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please log on to www.chidian.com. More chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen, please log on to www.chidian.com. More chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 723. The Heavenly Emperor Gate was located on the southeast side of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. In terms of luck, it was indeed the most prosperous existence. However, the Heavenly Emperor Gate had committed many unjust acts. Usually, an unstable peak would be the beginning of a downhill slope. This time, the location where Qin Wushuang and the others were transported out was the most desolate and most hidden deep valley of the aspiring throne mountain. Surrounded by clouds and mist, even the Heavenly Emperor party did not notice it. Just as Qin Shaotian had guessed, the Heavenly Emperor Gate had set up spies across the entire Heavenly Emperor Mountain. If it were not for Qin Wushuang's quick-wittedness, Murong Su and the others' disguise, plus they did not have the temperament of a disciple of the Qin clan, they were able to sneak out. Qin Wushuang was not in a rush to make a move. He was waiting. He planned to wait for half a month. In this half a month, it was not because Qin Wushuang did not make sufficient preparations, but for his colleagues and Murong Su. With this half a month's time, regardless of Murong Su, Qin Taichong and his fellow disciples, they were at least hundreds and thousands of miles away. When a great battle occurred at the Heavenly Emperor Gate, it would not affect them. As meticulous as hair, of course Qin Wushuang would not overlook such little details. He planned to use his spiritual perception to contact the head chief when he went to the Heavenly Emperor Gate for a massacre. He would ask him to think of a way to hold back Xian Tianwen. As long as Xian Tianwen could not get away, Qin Wushuang would have more time to carry out his plan. Once again, he took out the sealed scroll. Qin Wushuang summoned the dark mysterious snake and swallowing sky lion dragon. Now, these two spiritual beasts at the peak of the common mysterious stage had become Qin Wushuang's main fighters. Each time they were summoned, they knew that the chance to fight had come again. Master, another chance to practice? Swallowing Sky Lion Dragon laughed with fanaticism. You too, this battle is not ordinary. I have 3 targets. They are the Heavenly Emperor Gate, the Heavenly Punishing Villa, and the Sound of Thunder Sect. I will go to the Heavenly Emperor Gate, you two will go to the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder Sect separately. Give it your all. Do as much damage as you can, and do as much damage as you can. When the sky-devouring lion dragon and the dark mystic snake heard that they could fight freely, their eyes flickered with a ferocious light. The unique tyrannical nature of spirit beasts was stimulated at once. Qin Wushuang spread out the map of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain and said, "This is the Sound of Thunder Sect, this is the Heavenly Punishing Villa. All of you are under my command. I order you to attack. The 3 of us will attack together." They echoed each other. This wave of attacks would have more time. However, he couldn't continue fighting. When they heard my order, they immediately retreated. Let's split up and head towards the Tortoise King Mountain. Qin Wushuang outlined the path to the Tortoise King Mountain. Master, when are we leaving? The 2 spirit beasts asked. Move out immediately. With your spiritual power reserves, it won't be a problem for you to last until Tortoise King Mountain. But to be on the safe side, I fixed on 3 rendezvous points along the way. If we cannot meet at these 3 rendezvous points, we will meet at the Tortoise King Mountain. If we can, we will meet at the rendezvous point. The closest rendezvous point is only 200,000 miles away from here. Remember, when you receive the order, you must retreat and do not encounter any Supreme Tao elite warriors. Now, all Supreme Tao elite warriors of each sect are at the Qin clan. You will arrange your own retreat route according to the route the Qin clan took to these 2 places. As long as you don't bump into their return route, You will never have to worry about encountering them. Understand? Okay, master, then we will go now. Go, be careful along the way, and listen to my orders. Qin Wushuang sent away these two spiritual beasts at the peak of the common mysterious stage, and started his 15 days of solitary training again. In these 15 days, Qin Wushuang remained hidden. He studied the graceful spiritual bow and communicated with it. What made Qin Wushuang surprised was that communicating with the graceful spiritual bow could temper his primordial spirit and temper his temperament. This was an unexpected gain after he acquired the shooting sun arrows. When the Heavenly Emperor Gate launched a punitive expedition against the Qin clan, all 4 Supreme Dao elite warriors including Xin Tianwen went out. Most of the warriors at the peak of the common mysterious stage below the Supreme Dao stage also followed. Currently, only one at the peak of the common mysterious stage remained to oversee the Heavenly Emperor Gate. His name was Xin Tianhong. This person was Xin Tianwen's junior brother, and also a think tank at the Heavenly Emperor Gate. His ability to give advice was outstanding. Among the warriors at the peak of the common mysterious stage, he was also the one with the most hope to comprehend and become a god. Xin Tianwen allowed Xin Tianhong to oversee the Heavenly Emperor Gate. It was apparent how much he trusted him. Naturally, he also intended to create a training environment for him. It would allow him to have the opportunity to enter the Supreme Dao stage before the Heavenly Emperor election in 16 years. Xin Tianhong's assistants were 4 elders at the Ravine Mysterious stage. Elder Tianhong, I just received news from the Qin clan. The Heavenly Emperor has unleashed great divine power and is close to breaking the first pass of the Qin clan's mountain protection formation, one of the elders said with a smile. Xin Tianhong was in a great mood as he revealed a wise and farsighted smile. Great, with this speed, we can expect to break through the Qin clan in 3 years. Everyone should also train hard. When the Heavenly Emperor returns, you and I can achieve breakthroughs, Xin Tianhong encouraged them. Elder Tianhong, you should have gained a great harvest from your Supreme Dao comprehension, right? You are not far from the Supreme Dao stage, right? One of the elders asked with a flattering smile. However, Xin Tianhong did not reveal a proud expression. With a calm expression, he said with an indifferent smile, I am still 1 step away. However, I am confident that before the Heavenly Emperor election, I will successfully enter the Supreme Dao stage. Congratulations, Elder Tianhong, haha, by that time, we should call you Chief Tianhong. When one entered the Supreme Dao stage, they would automatically be promoted to Chief. This was the universal rule of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gate. Our Xian clan is still the most powerful. We are not as useless as the Qin clan, they only know how to rely on that Supreme Dao fruit. If you have the skill, why don't you use your own strength to break into the Supreme Dao stage and show us? This was the typical sour grapes mentality. Xin Tianhong waved his hand. Everyone is only contributing to the Xian clan, the titles are all empty. Now, besides strengthening our training, we must look after the mountain gate. Don't worry about this. Now the Qin clan cannot even protect themselves. Could they threaten the Heavenly Emperor Gate? Besides, the defenses of the Heavenly Emperor Gate are not to be trifled with. That elder from earlier was full of confidence. Xin Tianhong nodded and asked again, Is there any movement from the Yun clan? This time, the Yun clan has made up their mind, there is not the slightest movement. Haha, the Yun clan is truly stupid. With the irresistible trend, they do not know how to make a choice. What are they playing at? When the Heavenly Emperor Gate annihilates the Qin clan, we will settle the accounts with them. A trace of strange light flashed across Xin Tianhong's eyes. For these matters, we must not criticize carelessly. By the way, how is the situation at the Heavenly Pole Cave? With the help of the Heavenly Emperor, His Highness has returned to the peak of the common mysterious stage. When he comprehends the Supreme Dao stage, His Majesty will reconstruct his body. Yes, remember, you must serve His Highness well. While they were talking, suddenly a figure flashed from outside the door. Xian Tianhong and the others could not refrain from standing up. Your Highness? Outside the door, Xian Wuji, who was dressed in white, walked in slowly. Of course, the appearance of this Xian Wuji was still that Ruo Ping fairy. Although he had used many methods to disguise his appearance, he could change his appearance into a more masculine one. However, he could not change the 2 lumps on his chest. This made Xian Wuji appear extremely comical. Although Xian Tianhong and the other elders felt this situation was extremely strange, they showed a respectful expression and did not dare to reveal the slightest smile to avoid angering His Highness's fragile heart. Elder Tianhong, how is the punitive expedition to the Qin clan going? Xian Wuji hated the Qin clan to the bone and was extremely concerned about this matter. Your Highness, everything is going smoothly. Xian Tianhong introduced the latest situation in detail. A trace of murderous intention flashed across Xian Wuji's face. It was rich and eerie. Good. On the day we break the Qin clan, I hope Father can capture that Qin Wushuang. I must serve him well. When the words serve combined with his current strange appearance, the few elders found it funny inwardly. However, they did not dare to reveal the slightest smile. Elder Tianhong, this time when I leave the Celestial Pole Cave, I need to prepare a few sets of medicine. You can take care of it for me. I will not return to the Celestial Pole Cave for now. I will return when you are done with the preparations. A few prescriptions were handed over, and one of the elders respectfully received them. 20 days had passed. Qin Wushuang had been wandering before the mountain gate of the Heavenly Emperor Gate for 3 or 4 days. He knew that the surrounding area of the Heavenly Emperor Gate must be filled with spies. Therefore, his current goal was to catch one of them. On this day, Qin Wushuang finally got what he wanted. He used the divine venomous puppet technique and successfully controlled a patrolling disciple of the Xian clan. Qin Wushuang took this patrolling disciple to a remote place. Naturally, the disciple of the Xian clan, whose mind was controlled by the divine venomous insect, could not resist at all. It was also exceptionally easy for Qin Wushuang to interrogate him. From the mouth of this puppet, Qin Wushuang learned that an elder called Xian Tianhong was in charge of the Xian clan. This elder was the one at the peak of the common mysterious stage, the one with the most hope to break into the Supreme Tao stage in a short period. Therefore, the Heavenly Emperor kept him to take charge of the general situation. Besides him, there were 4 at the peak of the profound mysterious stage. Although these 5 possessed powerful strength, to Qin Wushuang, the strength of the people left behind to guard the Xian clan was secondary. He was more concerned about the defenses of the mountain gate of the Heavenly Emperor Gate. With the prestige of the Heavenly Emperor Gate, it was impossible for the mountain gate to be completely unguarded. Regardless of how confident the Xian clan was, certainly they would open the defenses of the mountain gate. Although Qin Wushuang was confident, he could not guarantee that he could ignore the defenses of the Heavenly Emperor Gate and enter or leave as he pleased. Therefore, he must ensure that he understood the distribution of these defenses completely. The defenses of the Heavenly Emperor Gate are divided into 3 layers. Currently, Elder Tianla, Elder Tianyu, and Elder Tianhong are in charge of these defenses. Elder Tianhong is personally in charge of the best layer of defenses. Unless you are a disciple of the sect, it would be extremely difficult for outsiders to pass through the defenses. The words of this puppet allowed Qin Wushuang to have some ideas. A plan gradually formed in his mind. To attack the Heavenly Emperor Gate, I must give them an additional surprise. If I don't leave them a profound lesson, how can I make the Heavenly Emperor Gate feel the pain? Qin Wushuang thought fiercely. He stood up and looked at the location of the Heavenly Emperor Gate with even colder eyes. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 724. Inside the Heavenly Emperor Gate, Elder Tianhong was in solitary training when he suddenly received a message through spiritual perception. It was from one of the patrol leaders on the outside. Elder Tianhong, someone in my team discovered something unexpected. It seems they saw a spiritual beast of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage appearing at the mountain gate. Elder Tianhong's gaze turned cold. A spiritual beast of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage? Instantly, his mind became active. Although the Xian Yuan Mound was a forbidden spiritual zone, it was not the active territory of the beast clans. Divine beasts could almost be said to be extinct. Even spiritual beasts at the perfect void martial stage were rare in the Xian Yuan Mound, not to mention one at the exquisite mysterious boundary stage. Who discovered it? Elder Tianhong asked. Wuchou discovered it. After a moment of silence, Elder Tianhong knew that this Xian Wuchou was a core disciple of the Xian clan. Indeed, he had been assigned a patrol mission. Bring him into the Divine Palace. Elder Tianhong stood up and there were traces of fervent lights in his eyes. If he could capture a spiritual beast of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage, to the Xian clan, it would definitely be an immeasurable wealth. It was because for this spiritual beast of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage, as long as it trained properly, it would definitely have hope to enter the Supreme Tao stage. For a spiritual beast of the Supreme Tao, its combat power would definitely be stronger than human Supreme Tao warriors of the same level. Therefore, Elder Tianhong could not refrain from having some thought. If I could take that spiritual beast as a contract spiritual beast, it would be the same as having another combat partner. In the future, it would definitely be a great help. Inside the Divine Palace, Elder Tianhong and the other 4 ravine mysterious elders were all present. The patrolling protectors brought Xian Wuchou to the door of the Divine Palace. Wuchou, it's an honor to meet the 5 elders, Xian Wuchou said carefully. Wuchou, quickly tell us everything you've seen and heard, Elder Tianhong said lightly. Elder Tianhong, it's like this. At that time, I was patrolling the patrol area. After walking for a while, I suddenly caught a glimpse of a figure scuttling out from the forest near a pile of crushed stones. That spiritual beast saw me instantly. Just when I was about to call my colleagues, this spiritual beast seemed to be on guard and dived into the forest. After that, I did not see any traces of it. Elder Tianhong's gaze moved. Do you still remember that area? Disciple naturally remembers. However, that spirit beast's cultivation was clearly much stronger than disciple's. Thus, disciple did not dare to approach it. Xian Tianhong said with a low voice, "Let's go take a look." He turned to look at the other 4 elders and said, "The 4 of you, that place is not far from my sect. A spiritual beast at the exquisite mysterious boundary stage is extraordinary. If we can tame it, it would definitely be a great benefit to the Xian clan. Elder Tianhong, you are the one in charge here. We brothers will listen to you. Alright, let's go take a look together." Of course, Xian Tianhong would not suspect that the disciples of his own sect would lie about military information. Now, everything in the Heavenly Monarch Gate was as usual. There were countless disciples patrolling inside and outside, and there was no need to worry about enemies sneaking in. "Wuchou, lead the way," Xian Tianhong said lightly. The group left the temple like a whirlwind. Under Xian Wuchou's lead, they walked towards that place. Elder Tianhong did not want to make a big fuss. Therefore, other than the 5 great elders, there were only 6 people, including the patrolling guardian and Xian Wuchou. Not long after Elder Tianhong and the others had left, Xian Wuji came to the temple again. However, He could not help but feel somewhat strange when he did not see the shadow of Elder Tianhong and the others. He immediately found Elder Tianhong's personal servant. After asking, he learned that Elder Tianhong had gone out. Xian Wuji's expression turned cold. Inwardly, he felt a burst of inexplicable fear. Xian Wuji's spiritual perception was abnormally powerful. Plus, with the tempering of his primordial spirit from the Coagulate Spirit Genuine Soul Book, in fact it was close to the supreme divine soul of an elite warrior of the supreme Tao stage. Because the power of this primordial spirit was close to the power of the divine soul, it allowed him to leave his body last time and escape with his life. Now, when such throbbing appeared in his divine soul, in terms of intuition, nothing good would happen. Spiritual beast at the exquisite mysterious boundary stage? Xian Wuji mumbled, before my heavenly emperor gate, since when did a spiritual beast at the exquisite mysterious boundary stage appear? When he thought here, he asked with a lightning-like gaze, who brought the information? Its senior brother Wucho. Xian Wucho. Xian Wuji mumbled to himself. Although he felt something was wrong inwardly, he could not determine what was wrong. Xian Wuji would never allow himself to have doubts. With a flash, he also drifted out of the mountain gate. Only the core of the Heavenly Emperor Gate knew about the news of Xian Wuji coming back from the dead. Xian Wuji was also unwilling to expose himself. Therefore, he avoided all eyes and ears of the Xian clan. At this moment, when Elder Tianhong and the others went out, the 3 elders who were in charge of the defenses of the mountain gate were among them. Therefore, the defenses of the mountain gate were temporarily open. On the other hand, Elder Tianhong and the others had arrived outside the mountain gate. In a moment, they arrived before that cluster of dense forest mentioned by Xian Wucho. Elder Tianhong, it's here. At that time, the spiritual beast scuttled out from here and scuttled back from here. It traveled at a fast speed, Xian Wucho said carefully. All right, you continue to patrol. For now, don't spread the news. Watch your mouth, understand? Yes, I understand, Xian Wucho answered respectfully and turned to leave. After he turned around, a strange smile spilled from the corner of his mouth. You 4, guard the 4 corners, I will go in to meet that spiritual beast. Inwardly, Elder Tianhong was also incredibly certain. Inside this dense forest, there was an indistinct wild presence. Although he did not know what kind of spiritual beast it was, it did possess the strength of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage. Just when the 4 elders were about to answer, suddenly a light laughter emerged from the dense forest. When this laughter appeared in this place, it was extremely abrupt. For a time, Elder Tianhong and the 4 ravine mysterious elders felt their scalp go numb. Who's there? Almost at the same time, they shouted violently. A burst of golden light shot out from the dense forest and held up a figure as if a god had descended. This person had a cold expression and emitted a burst of cold, murderous intentions from his entire body. With a young yet mature face shape, one could see with one look that he had experienced endless temperament. It caused Elder Tianhong to feel apprehensive inwardly. He had slightly modified his appearance, and with the subtle change in temperament, these 5 people could not recognize him for the time being. In fact, they did not even think in the direction of the Qin clan. Xian Tianhong, Xian Tianla, Xian Tianyu. Qin Wushuang called out the names of these 5 elders as if he was familiar with them. Who are you? Xian Tianhong's gaze was gloomy and cold as he realized something was wrong. He shot a glance at the 4 elders. The one who will send you off. Qin Wushuang's voice was cold and indifferent. Suddenly, he urged the murderous intentions from his entire body. Instantly, monstrous imposing manner surged and caused the surrounding sky to darken. Humph humph, such a big tone. The group of elders sneered coldly. They were not idiot. Naturally, they could see that this young man had not entered the Supreme Tao stage. To them, it was a great joke to dare to speak such boastful words without the strength of the supreme Tao stage. Stop with the nonsense, I will give you a chance, come at me together. Qin Wushuang's viper-like eyes swept across the front of these 5 people like a sharp blade. Instantly, the 5 of them felt their blood run cold. Elder Tianhong shouted, "Do you think that by using such provocation, you will make us play a one-on-one game with you?" They shot a glance at each other and the figures of the 5 people moved at the same time. 5 bursts of lights were urged and shot towards Qin Wushuang at full speed. Qin Wushuang let out a roaring laugh and suddenly, he flapped the purple cloud in yang wings. The purple cloud in yang wings expanded against the wind, and he dashed into the sky like a spring onion on dry land. He pulled the graceful spiritual bow and shot out 5 shooting sun arrows almost at the same time. Like shooting stars chasing after the moon, the swift and beautiful arcs pierced through the blue dome of heaven. "Go die!" "What? It's Qin Wushuang. Retreat quickly!" Continuous shouts sounded. At first, it was anger, then confusion, and in the end, fear. By the time they realized what this golden arrow meant, it was already too late. With a speed that could not be captured by the naked eye, the golden lights had completely torn apart the distance of space and arrived before them directly. Whatever protective aura, whatever protective armor, at this moment, it had all become floating clouds. 5 explosions took place, shattering the flesh of the 5 elders into pieces. Not even their remains were left behind. Beneath the supreme Tao stage, there was no divine soul at all. They did not receive the same treatment as Xian Wuji, who received the Coagulate Spirit Genuine Soul Book to escape in the face of danger. Therefore, from the moment these 5 elders made their move to their death, they had lost their lives almost in the span of a breath. Qin Wushuang took back the 5 shooting sun arrows with a wave of his hand. He twitched the corner of his mouth slightly and said indifferently, "Xian clan, Heavenly Emperor Gate, I am coming." Qin Wushuang's voice was gloomy and cold. He activated the purple cloud in yang wings and pierced the blue dome of heaven like a divine weapon descending from the heavens. Using the graceful spiritual bow to open a path, he charged directly into the Heavenly Emperor Gate. At this moment, suddenly, Qin Wushuang opened his discerning eyes and saw a panicked figure before him. Sneakily, it disappeared in a flash. Qin Wushuang shouted, "If you don't want to become a target, get out." The entire body of that figure trembled and did not dare to hide any more. She raised her hands and walked out from the thicket. Her beautiful face had lost all color and was full of panic. "Who are you?" When Qin Wushuang saw this panicked girl, he asked with a frown. "I am Ruo Ping Fairy of the Amei Daoist sect. I know you, you are Qin Wushuang of the Qin clan." "Ruo Ping Fairy?" Qin Wushuang knew that the senior sister of the Amei Daoist sect was called Ruo Ping Fairy, yet he had never seen her face to face. He had only seen Ruo Can Fairy, Ruo Tong Fairy, and Shui Rulan. On the contrary, he had only heard the name of this Ruo Ping Fairy and had never seen her in person. Now when he saw her appearance, he could not help but feel somewhat suspicious. "You are a disciple of the Amei Daoist sect, why have you come here?" I had a one-night stand with that Xian Wuji. Unexpectedly, he was buried at the Illusion Heavenly Lake. Therefore, I cleaned up his remains and secretly sent them to the Heavenly Emperor Gate. Additionally, I have come to the Xian Yuan Mound to find you under the orders of my teacher. Find me? A trace of murderous intentions emerged from Qin Wushuang's eyes. How did you recognize that I am Qin Wushuang? When you fought with Xian Wuji, I once secretly watched and recognized the graceful spiritual bow in your hand. To prove herself, Ruo Ping Fairy waved the commanding plate of the Amei Daoist sect. This is the commanding plate of the Amei Daoist sect. Qin Wushuang shot a glance and did not suspect her. He asked with an indifferent tone, "Why are you looking for me?" "Of course it's because of junior sister Rulan." Junior sister Rulin, she. Ruo Ping Fairy stammered and did not continue speaking. Incoming call. During the day, I used my laptop to store the code, I sent it first. Strive for the 4th update. Roar roar. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. More chapters, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 725. Qin Wushuang did not have the time to waste with this head disciple of the Amei Taoist sect. If he had not considered the relationship with Shui Rulin, he would have already made a move to kill this Ruo Ping Fairy. After all, initially at the 10,000 Flower Valley, this Ruo Ping Fairy was the one who worked the hardest to deal with Qin Wushuang. Speak if you have something to say. Why are you hesitating? Qin Wushuang shouted. Clearly, Ruo Ping Fairy was Xian Wuji. Since he was discovered by Qin Wushuang, he did not dare to expose his true identity. Therefore, he had disguised himself as the real one and dealt with Qin Wushuang. He hoped to escape with his life using the identity of Ruo Ping Fairy. Since this body belonged to Ruo Ping Fairy, it would be easy to imitate a female voice. Since this Qin Wushuang had never seen Ruo Ping Fairy, of course he would not reveal any flaws. Of course, Xian Wuji knew that even if he used the identity of Ruo Ping Fairy, judging from the history of Ruo Ping Fairy dealing with Qin Wushuang at the 10,000 Flower Valley, most likely Qin Wushuang would not show mercy. Therefore, he had mentioned Shui Rulin. Initially, when Xian Wuji and Ruo Ping Fairy had rushed to the edge of the barrier, they just happened to see Shui Rulin letting Qin Wushuang go. From the berating of Ruo Ping Fairy, he learned about the old relationship between Shui Rulin and Qin Wushuang. Therefore, Xian Wuji had mentioned Shui Rulin. This was the only chance he had to fight for his life. Xian Wuji had suffered once at the hands of Qin Wushuang. A moment ago, he had seen with his own eyes how Qin Wushuang had destroyed the prestige of the 5 great elders. Inwardly, he was nervous to the extreme. At the moment, he raised his brow. Qin Wushuang, initially we had a grudge at the 10,000 Flower Valley. If I tell you, you will kill me. If I don't tell you, you will also kill me. I would rather not tell you. Humph, I know you have an affair with junior sister Rulin. If you want to know about her, in 3 days, we will meet at the secret Cloud City, 3,000 miles southwest of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. You can kill me now, but you will not get any information about her. Before Master sent me out, she had already predicted that this might happen. If I don't return, you can forget about ever seeing junior sister Rulin again. Qin Wushuang's original intention was to kill Ruo Ping Fairy. After hearing what she said, he also felt that it did not matter whether he killed Ruo Ping Fairy. He waved his hand. Kill you? I don't want to dirty my hands. Get lost. Ruo Ping Fairy's expression changed. She hesitated, as if she could not bear the humiliation. In the end, she stomped her feet, turned around, and ran away. Qin Wushuang was bent on killing his way into the Heavenly Emperor Gate. He had no time to think too much. With a flap of his wings, he charged into the Heavenly Emperor Gate. His voice was like a tidal wave, covering the entire Heavenly Emperor Gate. All disciples of the Heavenly Emperor Gate, listen up. Today, I, Qin Wushuang, am here to exterminate your Heavenly Emperor Gate. Those who stand in my way shall die. The elders in charge of the defenses were all killed. Naturally, Qin Wushuang was invincible. Wherever he went, ruins were left behind. Qin Wushuang's words were to attract the people of the Heavenly Emperor Gate to protect the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace. He was not afraid of the disciples of the Heavenly Emperor Gate gathering together, but he was afraid that they would scatter and run away. Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace, today, watch how I destroy your Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace and your ancestral hall. Qin Wushuang had already learned about all the important strongholds of the Xian clan from Xian Wuchou. Immediately, he arrived at the ancestral hall of the Exian clan. This solemn sacrificial hall was a 9-floored pagoda. Inside it, the ranking of all the heroic spirits of the Exian clan was placed. Its significance was similar to the sacrificial valley to the Qin clan. Qin Wushuang activated the purple cloud in yang wings and floated above the 9-floored pagoda. He laughed, "Bastards of the Exian clan, today, watch how I destroy the foundation of your Exian clan." After he finished speaking, he activated the graceful spiritual bow. Like a rainbow, the shooting sun arrow transformed into a burst of meteoric light and rumbled towards the 9-floored pagoda. Boom! The thick meteoric light transformed by the shooting sun arrow crashed onto the top of the pagoda. A burst of black light opened abruptly like an umbrella and formed a sturdy defense to collide with the light of the graceful spiritual bow. Instantly, the momentum of the graceful spiritual bow was obstructed. After a pause, it still smashed onto the pagoda viciously. However, with this obstruction, the power of this arrow was clearly greatly affected. Only a small corner was blasted away. The materials used to construct this pagoda were definitely top-notch. Additionally, the building itself possessed powerful defense mechanisms. Despite this fact, it still suffered some damage from Qin Wushuang's arrow. Qin Wushuang laughed and shot 3 consecutive arrows in one smooth motion. Like 3 ferocious long dragons, they danced and circled in the sky. Boom! 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 Under the effect of the consecutive arrows, the 9-floored pagoda emitted a miserable cry. Balls of air of despair kept shooting in all directions and soared into the sky. Boom! Outside the 9-floored pagoda, bursts of spiderweb-like cracks appeared. These cracks extended all the way to the top of the pagoda. All of a sudden, this 9-floored pagoda collapsed with a loud rumble. Like a landslide, it instantly shattered into ruins. This magnificent collapse instantly stirred up a cloud of dust on the ground. Bursts of air waves surged into the sky and lifted up countless dust. Not only did Qin Wushuang not feel any pity, instead, this powerful destructive power ignited the murderous intent from his heart. He laughed wildly. Next, the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace. The disciples of the Heavenly Emperor Gate had only just arrived at this 9-floored pagoda. When they saw the Exian clan's ancestral hall was destroyed, each of them was stupefied and only reacted after a while. Bursts of grief and indignation surged around the Heavenly Emperor Gate. The ancestral hall is destroyed. The ancestral hall is destroyed. Kill him, kill this kid of the Qin clan. He gnashed his teeth in anger and let out a heart-wrenching roar that shook the heavens. Qin Wushuang remained unmoved as he killed his way to the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace. This Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace was the territory the Exian clan was most proud of. It was also the core location of the Exian clan's inheritance. Qin Wushuang knew that this Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace was like the Qin clan's upright morality hall. Destroying this Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace meant destroying the inheritance of the Exian clan. Now, before the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace, no less than 100 people had gathered. Each of them were elite warriors above the profound void martial stage. They formed a powerful formation and protected above the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace. Qin Wushuang said with an eerie smile, "Is there any Supreme Dao elite warrior at the Heavenly Emperor Gate? If there is no Supreme Dao elite warrior, today will be the day of destruction for the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace. Remember, the one to destroy your Exian clan is the disciple of the Qin clan, Qin Wushuang." Amidst Qin Wushuang's roaring laughter, the murderous intent in his eyes increased explosively. Once again, he activated the graceful spiritual bow and shot 3 shooting sun arrows in a T-shape to form an attack circle. Boom! The hundreds of people didn't even have time to finish setting up their formation before they were swept by the golden light. They were instantly swallowed by the golden light and didn't even have time to resist. At least half of them were swept into the golden light and were directly blasted into pieces. Refreshing. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt incredibly refreshed. When this graceful spiritual bow acquired the shooting sun arrows, it could kill people at a fast speed. With its imposing manner, it could not only kill people, it could also shatter the enemy's courage and make them lose their will. It was because the power of this graceful spiritual bow was too tyrannical. It was so tyrannical that it almost made people powerless to resist. Slaughter, it was definitely a one-sided slaughter. After Qin Wushuang's 2 waves of attacks, not a single one of the guards before the divine palace remained. They were all turned into dregs. Ha ha, where are the backbone of the Exian clan? Are you all cowards? Sending these small fries to die? Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. Today, watch how I destroy your heavenly emperor divine palace. After he finished speaking, he shot 3 arrows continuously. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 golden lights that were as thick as water buckets shot toward the top of the heavenly emperor divine palace. The heavenly emperor divine palace was the main building of the Exian clan. The power of its defenses surpassed that of the 9-floored pagoda. When these 3 arrows arrived, rings of purple lights shot out continuously and actually caught these 3 arrows completely. Qin Wushuang shot another 6 arrows continuously, yet he still could not break the purple light defense. This heavenly emperor divine palace is indeed different. Qin Wushuang was greatly astonished. He knew that he was not a supreme Tao elite warrior and could not unleash the full power of the graceful spiritual bow. At the moment, he was not discouraged and said with a cold sneer, "There are defenses above. I will shoot into your divine palace and see how your defenses are doing." What Qin Wushuang did not expect was that the entire heavenly emperor divine palace was like an iron bucket without any gap. No matter how he shot, he could not break the defenses of the heavenly emperor divine palace. At this moment, suddenly, Qin Wushuang's mind was moved. He actually felt that the defenses outside the Exian clan were being activated. Suddenly understanding something, he activated the purple cloud in yang wings and turned around to rush outside. It must be the elders of the Exian clan activating the defenses to keep me here. Qin Wushuang thought inwardly and knew that he could not stay any longer. He flew outside rapidly. Fortunately, the 2 layers of defenses had not been activated yet. Qin Wushuang rushed to the outermost layer of defenses. That defense was in the process of being activated. Qin Wushuang did not dare to be negligent. He opened the path with the graceful spiritual bow and blasted the group of disciples of the Exian clan into ashes. Following the momentum of the shooting sun arrows, the purple cloud in yang wings rushed out of the defense. Almost at this moment, that defense was completely activated. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt it was a pity. When he looked back, a group of elders of the Exian clan rushed out and swore from inside the defense, "Kid of the Qin clan, don't leave if you have the guts. Kid, after leaving the defense of the Qin clan, you will be hunted down endlessly." Qin Wushuang laughed. "A group of old trash, why are you hiding here? A moment ago when I destroyed your ancestral house, what were you doing? I want to see how you will have the face to see the ancestors of the Exian clan after you die." The group of elders revealed an ashen complexion. They gritted their teeth with hatred, yet they could do nothing. Without the defenses, they could not even stop this Qin Wushuang. "Kid, the supreme Tao elite warriors of the Exian clan have rushed back. Didn't you want to fight with the supreme Tao warriors of the Exian clan? If you have the skills, just wait." Qin Wushuang gave a long whistle. "I will come and go as I please. This time, the Exian clan is lucky. The next time I come, I will destroy your entire clan." After he had finished, he did not speak a single word and directly initiated the purple cloud in yang wings. He dashed into the sky and disappeared. That group of elders looked at the sky where Qin Wushuang had disappeared into the distance. Stunned, they kept cursing and swearing. Stop cursing, hurry and activate the other two defenses. Xian Wuji's cold voice sounded from behind them. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 726. Initially, after Xian Wuji escaped with his life, he returned to the mountain gate immediately. He sent his spiritual perception to order all the elders not to show themselves and to activate the defenses of the Xian clan at full speed. If Xian Wuji didn't know the power of the graceful spiritual bow and protected the lives of these elders, most likely these backbones of the Xian clan would have all become aggrieved souls under the arrows of the graceful spiritual bow. When Qin Wushuang pierced through the sky, he could not refrain from contacting Qin Chongyang with the communication jade plate. Third Chief, please ask the head chief to restrain Xian Tianwen. Qin Wushuang talked about the news of him causing havoc at the Heavenly Emperor Gate. Qin Chongyang was also slightly surprised. A trace of gratification flashed across his heart, yet he said with a profound tone, "Wushuang, for now the head chief cannot go out to restrain Xian Tianwen." Why? Qin Wushuang was stunned. I don't know where Xian Tianwen got a divine weapon. It's incredibly tyrannical, and can destroy the spiritual source of the Qin clan formation. Therefore, the head chief used his divine soul power to seal that divine weapon and restrain it to protect the spiritual source. Only, that divine weapon should belong to a totem elite warrior. Even with the seal of the divine soul power, it can only weaken its power, but cannot seal it completely. Qin Wushuang was violently shaken inwardly as he became stupefied. His initial joy from causing havoc at the Heavenly Emperor Gate was instantly swept away. "Wushuang, don't worry," the head chief said that even if he risks his life, he will delay this divine weapon. He will strive to delay it until the 16 years are up and not let the great formation of the Qin clan be broken. Leave the Heavenly Emperor Mountain quickly. Hurry! Third Chief, you guys take care. Qin Wushuang knew that it was useless to be sad now. Instantly, he withdrew his spiritual perception and without hesitation, he informed Dark Mysterious Snake and Swallowing Sky Lion Dragon to leave. Qin Wushuang was not panicking. Even if that Xian Tianwen knew how to calculate, he would not know that Qin Wushuang was going to the Tortoise King Mountain next. As long as the escape route was not captured, Qin Wushuang was not worried at all. However, Qin Wushuang also possessed the ability of a supreme Dao expert. Therefore, he didn't hesitate and increased his speed to the fastest as he dashed towards the first agreed-upon location. If the Dark Mysterious Snake and the Sky-Devouring Lion Dragon arrived in time, they would gather at the first location. If they didn't, they would gather at the Tortoise King Mountain. As long as they arrived at the Tortoise King Mountain and the transportation formation was activated, even if Xian Tianwen were to step out, he could only sigh helplessly. That Ruo Ping fairy was evasive and used Shui Rulan to threaten me. She just wanted to save her own life. Since that demonic woman Miao Yun admired Rulan so much, logically speaking, she wouldn't harm her. Today, I have important matters to attend to. After weighing the pros and cons, of course I have no time to ask about this matter. If I have time in the future, I'll go to the illusion Heavenly Lake again. As he was thinking, Qin Wushuang suddenly had a strange thought flash through his mind. He felt that something was wrong with this matter. However, no matter how hard he racked his brains, he could not figure out what was wrong. When Xian Tianwen received the news of the 5 elders being killed immediately, he was greatly astonished. Bad news kept coming one after another. Only now did he realize that his home had been raided. Additionally, the person who raided his home was Qin Wushuang. Xian Tianwen was truly enraged as he led his team back while gnashing his teeth. What welcomed him was a complete mess. There were also a pile of death lists. Although not many of those core elders had died, Xian Tianhong, his most trusted one, had died. He was the talent that had the most hope to become a supreme Dao elite warrior in the Xian clan. Xian Tianwen's heart was bleeding. Among the young disciples there were also many casualties. Although they were not the most exceptional ones, they had definitely damaged the vitality of the Xian clan. Certainly they would have a shortage of talent. The most fatal part was that the ancestral hall of the Xian clan was destroyed. That was the sacred place where the heroic souls of generations of the Xian clan slept. Yet it had turned into a pile of ruins. As he looked at this pile of ruins, purple clouds erupted from Xian Tianwen's face. Suddenly, he gave a long roar to the sky. His voice shook the clouds as he roared with all his strength. It sounded as ferocious as a wild beast. Qin clan, if I don't destroy your clan, I swear I am not a human. Qin Wushuang, if I don't break your bones and scatter your ashes, how can I get rid of the hatred in my heart? Xian Tianwen's heart was dripping blood. If a few people had died, the Xian clan would not be too frustrated. However, with the destruction of the ancestral hall, without a doubt, it would become the greatest joke of the Xian Yuan Mound. At this moment, the status and dignity of the Xian clan, the pride and glory of the Heavenly Emperor Gate, had all been trampled under the feet of Qin Wushuang. They had lost all their dignity. Almost at the same time, the Heavenly Punishing Villa and the Sound of Thunder sect also received bad news. They had almost received the same treatment and the same disaster. However, it was two spiritual beasts at the peak of the common mysterious stage that attacked them. These two brutal spiritual beasts were not interested in destroying buildings. However, their brutality was not the slightest bit weak. It was because their hobby was killing people. At the same time when the Heavenly Emperor Gate was attacked, the remaining people of these two sects almost encountered an inhumane massacre. In less than half a day, at least 500 people died. Additionally, these vicious beasts were not picky when they killed people. They would kill anyone they saw alive. It could be said that they did not leave even a chicken or dog alive. They suffered heavy losses. The Heavenly Emperor Gate, the Heavenly Punishing Villa, and the Sound of Thunder sect. Now, everyone knew that this was the counterattack of the Qin clan, the revenge of the Qin clan. The Qin clan had said that the Qin clan would destroy all sects that participated in the Heavenly Emperor Party. It seemed that these were not empty words. If the Thousand Feather sect, the Mysterious Reform Gate, and the 100 Lane clan, these three originally neutral sects, were somewhat lucky in the beginning, then at this moment, when they saw the misfortune of the Heavenly Emperor Gate, the Heavenly Punishing Villa, and the Sound of Thunder sect, they understood one principle. The Qin clan would do what they said. Additionally, it was clear that people had already escaped from the Qin clan. Especially that Qin Wushuang, everyone had witnessed his power with their own eyes. It would not be a problem for him to kill Lei Ming, a supreme Dao elite warrior. For such figure, if he was allowed to grow for a while, when he achieved great success and entered the supreme Dao stage, certainly it would be a bloody scene when he returned. By that time, most likely even the Heavenly Emperor Gate would not be able to stop him from killing people. Thinking here, indeed everyone felt insecure. Especially those three neutral sects. Thinking about it now, the Qin clan still left some leeway and dealt with the main culprits first. If there was a next time, most likely these three powerhouses would be the ones to suffer a calamity. When the Heavenly Emperor Gate was attacked, they would have the chance to recover. The foundation of these three major sects was not as profound as the Xian clan. Once they were attacked, it would be difficult to say whether they could recover. In case their supreme Dao elite warriors were killed by the Qin clan, it would be the same as being completely removed from the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gate. Thinking here, these three major sects trembled inwardly. Now it was too late for regret. Initially, They should not have been suppressed by the power of the Heavenly Emperor. If they had remained as neutral as the Yun clan, at least they could have united around the Yun clan when encountering a problem. With their 3 powerhouses and the Yun clan together, perhaps they could have fought against the Heavenly Emperor Gate. Now, they did not please either side and offended the Qin clan. Before they could even get a good word from the Heavenly Emperor, both sides were not human. Xian Tianwen was bursting with anger. Just when he was furious, Xian Wuji asked to see him. Regardless of how angry he was, Xian Tianwen did not lack patience for this precious son. After hearing Xian Wuji's narration, Xian Tianwen gave a long sigh. Hateful Tianhong, usually he is full of wisdom and schemes. At this moment, he was tricked by someone without distinguishing right from wrong. Wuji, you did well. A real man knows when to yield and when not to. You were able to get away with it before that kid, sneak back to the mountain gate to open the defenses, and protect the Heavenly Emperor Gate from getting attacked. It's also your contribution. Xian Wuji shook his head painfully. Father, inside my heart, you don't know how much pain I am in. When I saw that kid flaunting his power, I was powerless. On the contrary, I had to compromise. I can't wait to swallow his flesh and drink his blood. Wuji, no need to be troubled. I will certainly seek justice for you. Since this Qin Wushuang left the defenses of the Qin clan, I promise that he will die for sure. Father, that Qin Wushuang is as cunning as a ghost. I also let him fall into my trap. When I was feigning civility with him, I secretly planted a tracking talisman on him. He did not realize it. This tracking talisman should work for 10 days to half a month. I saw that he did not seem to return to the Qin clan. Xian Tianwen was overjoyed. After a moment of silence, he sent his spiritual perception, Tianwu, come see me quickly. Xian Tianwu immediately came before Xian Tianwen. Your Majesty, it's my pleasure to meet you. Tianwu, you and Lei Yu take Luo Tongtian. The 3 of you will take Wuji to chase and kill that Qin Wushuang. You must not let him get away. Wuji planted a tracking talisman on him. Follow this tracking talisman and use your fastest speed. You must catch up to this guy before the tracking talisman loses its effect. Yes. Go and come back quickly. Watch out for the graceful spiritual bow. Regardless, I must see him if he is alive, and his corpse if he is dead. Additionally, you must get that graceful spiritual bow, you must not lose it. Xian Tianwu said, Rest assured, Your Majesty. That graceful spiritual bow only killed Lei Ming by luck. Tianwu and Lei Yu are elite warriors at the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. How could we fall into that kid's trap? Xian Tianwen said lightly, Do not underestimate the enemy, go. As he watched Xian Tianwu and the others leave, Xian Tianwen reorganized his mood and walked towards the Divine Palace. Now, Xian Tianwu, Lei Yu, and Luo Tongtian had already left. At the scene, only Xian Tianchen, Xian Tianchong, the 2 supreme Dao warriors of the Xian clan, as well as Yen Beifei and Yen Guinan remained. The leaders of the other 3 major sects were outside the Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace and did not enter. Xian Tianwen frowned slightly. Where are they? Your Majesty, those 3 powerhouses seem to be somewhat shaken, Xian Tianchen said with a worried expression. Shaken, up to this point, do they think they still have a way out? If they withdraw now, the Qin clan will not appreciate it. How could I let them go easily? While they were speaking, the 6 supreme Dao elite warriors of the 3 powerhouses walked in with fear and trepidation. They arrived before Xian Tianwen directly and knelt down on the ground. Your Majesty, please let us go. Your Majesty, the 3 sects truly cannot afford to play any more. Your Majesty, please let us return to our respective mountain gates. Xian Tianwen revealed an ashen expression as he shouted, What are you doing? Withdraw. Do you think you can still withdraw? Will the Qin clan appreciate your kindness? And how could my Xian clan tolerate cowards and traitors who run away before the battle? Your Majesty, no need to speak. That Qin clan is already struggling at death's door. In 10 years, the Qin clan will surely break. You don't need to worry about the Qin clan taking revenge on you. With Tian Wu and Lei Yu chasing after that Qin Wushuang, he will not escape death. He will not be able to make any big waves. Currently, Qin Wushuang was rushing towards the Tortoise King Mountain at full speed. At this moment, his mind had already flown to the 7 terminal arrays formation. What kind of fortuitous opportunities would there be at the 5th loop? To be continued. If you want to know about the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 727. Dark Mysterious Snake and Swallowing Sky Lion Dragon were extremely punctual. At the first designated location, they successfully regrouped with Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang did not have the time to ask about the battle situation. It was because from the observant finger jade plate, he saw that 3 elite warriors of the Supreme Tao were tracking towards his direction. The observant finger jade plate automatically collected spiritual perception. Therefore, Qin Wushuang easily judged that these people were Xian Tianwu of the Heavenly Emperor Gate, Lei Yu of the Sound of Thunder sect, and Luo Tongtian of the Heavenly Luo Taoist sect. Good 1-2 elite warriors of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage, Xian Tianwen truly values me. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang found it funny. With the purple cloud in yang wings, if he urged his flying speed with all his strength, his speed would not lose to elite warriors of the Supreme Tao. Most importantly, he possessed the spiritual power pearl. He would not need to rest in the middle of the journey and could travel long distances. For such advantage, even elite warriors of the Supreme Tao could not compare to it. Therefore, in this leg competition, both sides were evenly matched. After 3 days, he received Murong Su's spiritual perception that she had already arrived at the Tortoise King Mountain. Following Qin Wushuang's route instructions, she had successfully entered the mountain cave. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang was greatly reassured. He told her to wait quietly at that mountain cave and not to worry. At most, he would arrive in half a month. When Murong Su arrived safely, it allowed Qin Wushuang to have less worries. He decided to have some fun with this group of pursuers. After several evolutions, the purple cloud in yang wings were no longer the same as before. It would not be a problem to support Qin Wushuang's long-distance flight. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang also found it strange. These elite warriors of the Supreme Tao were at the Qin clan. How could they lock onto his position and chase after him with such a clear goal? Initially at the 10,000 Flower Valley, that Xian Wuji used the tracking talisman on me and was able to follow me. Could it be, these elite warriors of the Supreme Tao are repeating the same trick? However, they are attacking the aspiring Throne Mountain from tens and thousands of miles away. How could they use the tracking talisman on me? Qin Wushuang could not figure it out no matter how much he thought about it. Thinking back, from beginning to end, he had not come into contact with any elite warriors during the process of invading the Xian clan. There was no possibility of him being poisoned. Could it be the defenses of the Heavenly Emperor Gate of the Xian clan can automatically place tracking talismans? As Qin Wushuang thought this way, he immediately felt it was unlikely. If the Xian clan was able to place a tracking talisman, why didn't they launch a surprise attack on him directly? When he entered the Xian clan, the seal was not activated. By the time the restriction was activated, he had already rushed out. At that time, the graceful spiritual bow was leading the way. How could the tracking talisman get close to him before the aura of the graceful spiritual bow? No, it shouldn't be the doing of the Xian clan's restrictive spells. Qin Wushuang's mind was in a mess as he began to think carefully. He recounted from beginning to end how he had come to the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, captured Xian Wucho, the puppet, until he had left the Heavenly Emperor Gate. The first time, he did not discover anything. The second time, when he was talking about that Ruo Ping fairy, Qin Wushuang felt a burst of throbbing without reason. Suddenly, his heart skipped a beat as he remembered the doubt in his mind from earlier. When he was thinking about this appointment with Ruo Ping fairy, he felt something was wrong. Now, when he thought about it carefully, he felt that there was a lump of dark clouds surrounding this Ruo Ping fairy. Could the problem be with her? Since Qin Wushuang had sensed a trace of something was wrong, he carefully recalled the conversation he had with Ruo Ping fairy. That woman said that she had a relationship with Xian Wuji. The facts proved that Xian Wuji had indeed seduced Ruo Ping fairy and used her relationship to track me. This was true. Or else, how could he have escaped from that 10,000 flower valley to chase after me? Ruo Ping fairy's words should be true. However, suddenly Qin Wushuang's expression froze. She said she had taken care of Xian Wuji's remains. When Xian Wuji's body exploded, there was nothing left of him. Even his weapon had turned into fine powder. How could she have taken care of his remains? Could she have taken some soil from the area where he had exploded? Vividly, Qin Wushuang felt something was wrong. That woman is lying. She did not appear at the Heavenly Emperor Gate to deliver Xian Wuji's remains. She must have other intentions. However, even if she had other intentions, even if she had received the orders from old devilish woman Miao Yun to form an alliance with the Heavenly Emperor Gate to deal with my Qin clan, it would be a distant water that cannot quench the immediate thirst. How could the Amei Daoist sect dare to cross the forbidden spiritual zones and get involved with the internal affairs of the Xian Yuan Mound? Clearly, this is impossible. Crossing the forbidden spiritual zones and getting involved with the internal affairs of the Xian Yuan Mound was definitely not something the Amei Daoist sect would have the courage to do. Instantly, Qin Wushuang rejected this possibility. Just what does that woman want? Qin Wushuang felt that his head was about to explode. If someone had used a tracking talisman on me, this woman is the most suspicious. However, if the Amei Daoist sect were to help the Heavenly Emperor Gate in secret, they would not have just sent an insignificant head disciple. For a battle at the level of the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, what could a little Ruo Ping fairy do? Could it be that woman is not Ruo Ping fairy? Is she someone from the Heavenly Emperor Gate? Could that commanding plate of the Amei Daoist sect be a fake? Qin Wushuang also felt it was unlikely. The martial artists of the Heavenly Emperor Gate were mainly male. Besides Xian Tianwu, there were no exceptional female martial artists. As for Ruo Ping fairy, her cultivation was indeed at the exquisite mysterious realm. This was not false at all. If she were a disciple of the Heavenly Emperor Gate, she should be famous for having the strength of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage. How could he have never heard of her? Therefore, that woman should be that Ruo Ping fairy. As Qin Wushuang thought about it, he did not have a single clue. The only thing he was sure of was that most likely, it was that Ruo Ping fairy who had used the tracking talisman on him. Indeed, this woman harbors unfathomable motives. At that time, if I was not in a hurry to attack the Heavenly Emperor Gate, and if I was not considering my relationship with Ruolan, how could I have let her leave so easily? As Qin Wushuang thought inwardly, he could not help but look at the observant finger jade plate. How could it be like this? Instantly, Qin Wushuang was stunned. In these past few days, he had been paying attention to the tracking of those 3 Supreme Tao elite warriors. However, he did not realize that under the powerful spiritual perception of these 3 Supreme Tao elite warriors, there was a slightly weaker spiritual perception. Indeed, this spiritual perception belonged to Ruo Ping fairy, whom he had encountered at the Heavenly Emperor Gate. What made Qin Wushuang feel the most astonished was that vividly, the spiritual perception of this Ruo Ping fairy gave him a familiar feeling. What is going on? Qin Wushuang felt it was inconceivable. This had completely surpassed his common sense. For this Ruo Ping fairy, before this encounter at the Heavenly Emperor Gate, Qin Wushuang was certain that he had never seen her before. How could he feel a sense of déjà vu from her spiritual perception? The most unexpected thing was that this spiritual perception seemed to be familiar. It was incredibly tyrannical and made Qin Wushuang remember an incredibly terrifying and impossible existence. Yes, it was Xian Wuji. This spiritual perception had made Qin Wushuang think of Xian Wuji. Although compared to the Xian Wuji of the past, he was more or less different. He was less flamboyant and more calm and ruthless. However, that surge of ruthlessness had been passed down from the same origin. If Qin Wushuang had not sensed it carefully, he would not have been able to taste the subtlety within it. As a cloud of doubt rose from his heart, he repeatedly and carefully identified it. He realized that indeed, the presence of this spiritual perception was the same as that Xian Wuji. However, this observant finger jade plate clearly showed that it was Ruo Ping fairy. Therefore, this had made Qin Wushuang feel that his common sense had been overturned. Could it be that the observant finger jade plate is displaying something wrong? Qin Wushuang felt that it was unlikely. Even a supreme Dao elite warrior would not make it wrong. How could Xian Wuji have such great skill? Ruo Ping fairy said that she had a one-night stand with Xian Wuji. Could it be that the spiritual perception of these two could merge through some illicit matters? This also doesn't seem right. Unless they were in eternal dual training, it would be impossible for their spiritual perception to merge. You have me in you, and I have you in me. It would be impossible for a one-night stand to leave such a deep spiritual perception mark. Qin Wushuang rejected the idea of fusion without hesitation. However, how could he explain all of this? Qin Wushuang decided to use his divine power to investigate his own situation. If that tracking talisman was still there, he should be able to feel it, even if it was just a little trace. He channeled his divine power and started to sense the trace of the tracking talisman. Indeed, to Qin Wushuang's astonishment, this tracking talisman still carried Xian Wuji's strong personal mark. Xian Wuji? Inwardly, Qin Wushuang felt bursts of terrifying emptiness. Could it be that this Xian Wuji is not dead? When he thought of this terrifying thought, Qin Wushuang felt waves of throbbing. Xian Wuji was not an elite warrior of the Supreme Tao. It was impossible for his divine soul to leave his body and abandon his body. Regardless, this Ruo Ping fairy must not be left alive. There are too many suspicious points about this person. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang thought to himself, perhaps Xian Wuji also knows how to control puppets. He controlled Ruo Ping fairy and made her unswervingly loyal? Therefore, there are traces of Xian Wuji in her spiritual perception? If that's the case, with Xian Wuji's death, this puppet manipulation would have been removed. There would not be any traces of Xian Wuji. Since Xian Wuji's presence was still there, there was only one possibility. Xian Wuji was not dead. Qin Wushuang mumbled and cursed, Xian Wuji, this guy. I could not see through him when he faked his death and self-detonated right before my eyes. It seems that the son of the Heavenly Emperor does have some skills. I just don't know how he, at the peak of the common mysterious stage, was able to use his primordial spirit to leave his body and still live after taking over Ruo Ping fairy's body? Now, Qin Wushuang was almost certain that this Xian Wuji should not be dead. He must have used Ruo Ping fairy's body to resurrect himself. No wonder, at the Karakoram immortal clan, I did not see this Ruo Ping fairy. As the head disciple of the Amei Daoist sect and the host of the 10,000 Flower Valley, how could she not show herself? It must be. It must be. A trace of regret flashed across Qin Wushuang's mind. Initially, he was in a rush to attack the Heavenly Emperor Gate and neglected this Ruo Ping fairy. Unexpectedly, Xian Wuji was right before his eyes. Certainly that Xian Wuji is afraid of me. Or else, how could he use the identity of Ruo Ping Fairy to pretend to be polite to me? It's good that you are not dead, then this time I will send you to the Western Paradise. An evil thought flashed across Qin Wushuang's mind. Instantly, murderous intentions surged like the tide from his heart. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 728. Initially, Qin Wushuang planned to erase the faint presence of that tracking talisman. However, with another thought, if he were to erase it, wouldn't he be telling the other party that he already knew they were tracking him? This would not achieve the effect of luring the enemy. I must let them feel a trace of hope. Or else, if they could not catch up to me after tracking me for a while, certainly they would have the intention to retreat. In that case, how could I kill that suspected Xian Wuji? If this person does not die, my heart will not be at peace. I must kill him. When Qin Wushuang thought here, he did not erase the presence of that tracking talisman. As long as he did not lose to the other party in terms of speed, he would have the capital to lure the enemy in for a surprise attack. After all, the observant finger jade plate was not to be trifled with. Spreading out the map of the Xian Yuan Mound, Qin Wushuang started to search for a sniping spot. Along the way, Qin Wushuang was already familiar with the terrain. In the end, he decided to choose a deep mountain of the 100 Victory Prefecture as the sniping spot. This mountain was called the Phoenix Mountain. The terrain was rather steep. Regardless of the sniping or the retreat after the sniping, it would be advantageous. Most importantly, after calculating the time, when he arrived at the Phoenix Mountain, it would be when the effect of the tracking talisman was about to end. At that time, it would be the most anxious time for the enemy. When they were at their most anxious, he would give them a trace of hope and take advantage of their weakness. After making up his mind, Qin Wushuang no longer had any doubts as he rushed towards the Phoenix Mountain with all his strength. The Phoenix Mountain was about 40 to 60% of the distance between the Heavenly Emperor Mountain and the Tortoise King Mountain. It was about 40% away from the Tortoise King Mountain and 60% away from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. It could be said that when he arrived at the Phoenix Mountain, he was already halfway there. On the other hand, Xian Tianwu and the others could not close the distance with Qin Wushuang during the first few days of tracking. Even Luo Tongtian swore, "This kid, initially when he came to cause trouble at my heavenly Luo Daoist sect, he did not even dare to come out when he saw me. How come he has improved so quickly? His speed is on par with elite warriors of the Supreme Dao stage? That kid has a pair of wings, similar to Your Majesty's Heavenly Emperor wings. He has an advantage in terms of speed. You and I are flying in the air, yet he has wings. He has the advantage in terms of flying speed and posture. They consume less spiritual qi than us," Xian Tianwu analyzed calmly. When talking about Qin Wushuang's pair of wings, Xian Wuji also swore angrily, "That kid is neither a human nor a demon. I don't know where he got that pair of wings." Although Xian Wuji spoke with a sour tone, inwardly, he was extremely envious of that pair of wings. For your information, across the entire Xian Yuan Mound, he did not know about the totem powerhouses. Among the non-totem powerhouses, only his father Xian Tianwen, the Honorable Heavenly Emperor, had such a pair of wings. That was an exclusive brand. There was no other brand. Unexpectedly, Qin Wushuang encountered this exclusive signboard. Fellow Taoist Tianwu, even if that Qin Wushuang consumes less spirit energy than us, he isn't a supreme Dao powerhouse after all. After trekking for such a long time, he'll surely exhaust his energy. In the past 2 days, I can clearly feel that the distance between us has shortened. This guy must be exhausted. This was Lei Yu's voice. Xian Tianwu said with a low voice, when competing with an elite warrior of the Supreme Tao in terms of leg power, he will surely die. However, I am wondering whether he already knows we are tracking him? Xian Wuji said, this is not impossible. Initially when I was tracking him at the 10,000 Flower Valley, he seemed to know. He let me chase him for a long time. After all, your tracking talisman is not a supreme Tao skill. He can sense it by sensing it. With his cautiousness, it's not impossible for him to sense it. However, what if he sensed it? Since he caused a great disturbance at the Heavenly Emperor Gate, certainly he is mentally prepared to be chased by us. Everyone, don't be in a rush. Although this guy is cunning, once he leaves the defenses of the Qin clan, as an elite warrior beneath the Supreme Tao stage, he will not be able to escape. Even if he escapes to other forbidden spiritual zones, as long as there are clues along the way, we can catch up to him. Xian Tianwu was still incredibly optimistic. We must not let him enter other forbidden spiritual zones. Lei Yu shook his head. In that case, it will be troublesome for us to chase after him. Yes, it would be best if we can finish the battle at the Xianyuan Mound. However, I see that this kid's escape route should be heading towards the human countries. Could it be this kid wants to return to the human countries? Xian Tianwu asked strangely. Why don't we go to the human countries and annihilate that brat's secular family? How about it? Luo Tongtian's hatred towards Qin Wushuang could not be described with a few words. Therefore, his first thought was to destroy Qin Wushuang's entire family. Xian Tianwu's expression froze. Taoist Tongtian, did you not suffer enough last time? The great battle at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain was a competition between sects inside the forbidden spiritual zones. For you to go to the human countries, you were already given a way out by the Heavenly Emperor. Or else, I am afraid your Heavenly Luo Taoist sect would have already been removed from the Xianyuan Mound. The human countries are not as simple as you think. If you think you can do whatever you want in the human countries, then you are wrong. Once the other forbidden spiritual zones are lured to deal with the Xianyuan Mound together, then we will have committed a great sin. The other forbidden spiritual zones are attacking the Xianyuan Mound together? For the mere human countries? Luo Tongtian felt this matter sounded so unreliable. Xian Tianwu said with a cold sneer, Luo Tongtian, your Heavenly Luo Taoist sect claims to have a legacy in the human countries. Your understanding of the human countries is still so shallow. Anyways, for many things, although I am not clear, I know that the human countries are not that simple. If you do not want to incite a chaotic war among the forbidden spiritual zones, it's best to not burn the flames of war to the human countries. Or else, most likely it will cause public outrage. Inwardly, Luo Tongtian smacked his tongue. Now, he knew why the Heavenly Emperor still strictly ordered them to touch the human countries despite clearly disliking the Qin clan. Most likely, this reason was within. Yet, he did not dare to ask. After chasing for another 2 days, the smile on Lei Yu's face became even richer. Good, the distance is shortened again. That kid must have exhausted all his strength. Let's work harder, in less than 2 days we will catch up to him. Once that guy's dantian is exhausted, he will stop to rest. It's impossible for him to recover without 3 or 5 days. Therefore, our good opportunity has come. Xian Tianwu also laughed. That kid thinks he can defy the natural order with a pair of wings. He doesn't know that for elite warriors beneath the Supreme Tao stage, in the end there is a difference between them. It's not something his wings can make up for. Xian Wuji rubbed his hands and strong murderous intentions were revealed from his eyes. And Tianwu, if it's possible, you must capture that Qin Wushuang alive. I still want him to suffer a bit before he dies. Xian Tianwu said leisurely, Wuji, just wait, I will certainly make him suffer a fate worse than death. Tongtian, you are in charge of protecting Wuji. Lei Yu, you and I are both at the transformation supreme Tao stage. We will be more thorough in our defense of the graceful spiritual bow. As long as we do not underestimate the enemy, we will not need to worry about that bow. Qin Wushuang's greatest trump card is the graceful spiritual bow. If the graceful spiritual bow cannot deal with you and me, he will have no other trump cards. Lei Yu nodded. Alright, just as Daoist Tianwu said, you and I will be in charge of capturing this Qin Wushuang. Although Luo Tongtian felt somewhat regretful, he also knew that he had only just entered the Coagulate Supreme Tao stage. Compared to these two elite warriors at the Transformation Supreme Tao stage, there was still a huge difference. When facing Qin Wushuang's graceful spiritual bow, even Lei Ming at the fifth calamity of the Coagulate Supreme Tao stage was killed instantly, not to mention him. Therefore, not allowing him to make a move was also a form of protection. Following the gradual loss of the tracking talisman, the distance between them and Qin Wushuang kept shrinking. This caused Xian Tianwu and the others' fighting spirit to multiply. Daoist Tianwu, that Qin Wushuang is already showing signs of exhaustion. I estimate that he will certainly find a place to rest. Shouldn't you and I restrain our presence and approach quietly? Xian Tianwu muttered to herself irresolutely, analyze the terrain ahead. Xian Wuji was already studying the terrain as he said, we've already entered the 100 Victory Prefecture. Naturally, the most secretive place of this prefecture is the Phoenix Mountain. If that Qin Wushuang were to choose a place to hide, certainly it would be the Phoenix Mountain. Phoenix Mountain, then let this Phoenix Mountain become Qin Wushuang's burial place. Xian Tianwu said with an expressionless face. Like lightning, 4 figures flashed across the sky above the 100 Victory Prefecture and dropped to the area of the Phoenix Mountain. They were already certain that this Qin Wushuang must be in this area. By the way, Daoist Tianwu, do you think this Qin Wushuang can also grasp our whereabouts? If that's the case, even if he were to die, he would not choose to stop, right? Lei Yu said with concern. If he can grasp our whereabouts and still choose to stop, I am afraid he is plotting something. How can he grasp our whereabouts? Can he place tracking talismans? Even if he has this skill, we are far away in the Qin clan. By the time we return, he would have already left the Heavenly Emperor Gate, Xian Tianwu analyzed. This is true, but Lei Yu still wanted to say something. All of a sudden, Luo Tongtian slapped his thigh. I am confused. This Qin Wushuang has a monstrous tool called the Observant Finger Jade Plate. Suddenly, Luo Tongtian remembered that this Qin Wushuang was the guy that inherited Lu Xianluo's unfulfilled wish. Luo Tongtian always wanted to get this object from Lu Xianlu. Naturally, he was extremely familiar with it. During this time, he never thought in this direction. Now, when he suddenly remembered, his heart trembled inexplicably. Lei Yu's complexion also changed slightly. This way, indeed this Qin Wushuang knows our whereabouts? However, Xian Tianwu denied it. For a craftsman that is not at the Supreme Tao stage, the things he makes can lock onto the position of Supreme Tao elite warriors? I don't believe it. Not to mention, when we returned to the Heavenly Emperor Gate, he had already left. Can the Observant Finger Jade Plate collect our divine sense aura from tens of thousands of miles away? Luo Tongtian mumbled. I am afraid that initially at the Heavenly Emperor Gate, when Qin Shaotian took him there, he had already collected everyone's spiritual perception. Xian Tianwu said with a cold sneer, do you guys think that this Qin Wushuang is qualified to ambush us here? Lei Yu said seriously, we cannot underestimate the enemy. Although Lei Yu wanted to seek revenge from Qin Wushuang wholeheartedly, during this time, he deeply felt that this Qin Wushuang was not easy to deal with. Therefore, he became cautious inwardly. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com, support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 729. Xian Tianwu still did not agree. She raised the corner of her mouth slightly, and carried a few traces of arrogance. Inside the mountain gate of the Qin clan, they have defenses and mountain protection formations. I cannot do anything to him. Outside the Qin clan, if I cannot even deal with an elite warrior beneath the Supreme Tao stage, I would have trained to the third calamity of the transformation Supreme Tao stage in vain. Suzerain Lei Yu, you do not lose to me in terms of strength. Do you think that even if that Qin Wushuang intended to ambush here, with his strength, even with the graceful spiritual bow, could he do anything to you and me? If it's that Qin Wushuang alone, truly he cannot threaten you and me. However, this guy has too many variables, who knows what kind of tricks he can play. Lei Yu did not dare to boast as he was strangely cautious. A trace of mockery flashed across her eyes as Xian Tianwu said, "In this case, I will go track him alone. Suzerain Lei Yu, you stay here and don't take the risk." Lei Yu laughed. Daoist Tianwu, how could I be a person that is afraid of trouble? Fear the wolf in front and the tiger in the back. It's because of this mentality that allowed that kid to be arrogant until now. If I had made up my mind to get rid of this person earlier, he would not have been left alive to cause trouble. Xian Tianwu's tone was extremely decisive. Today, regardless, we must not let him fly out of this Phoenix Mountain. After she finished speaking, Xian Tianwu dashed and transformed into a burst of red light that shone across the entire horizon. She initiated her Supreme Tao presence all of a sudden. Instantly, half of the sky above the entire Phoenix Mountain was burned red. Indeed, like a long red dragon, Xian Tianwu's figure danced in the sky with astonishing, imposing manner. The frightening aura caused all the spiritual beasts in Phoenix Mountain to flee in terror. They were all terrified. Clearly, these spiritual beasts also sensed a burst of powerful crisis approaching. The powerful Supreme Tao presence broke the tranquility of the Phoenix Mountain. Xian Tianwu initiated her spiritual perception and started to search. The Supreme Tao presence gushed out and transformed into bursts of notes that kept piercing down like the tip of a needle. Qin Wushuang, I know you are hiding at this Phoenix Mountain. Today, even if I have to raise this Phoenix Mountain to the ground and move the mountains and overturn the sea, I will drag you out. Come out, come out, the echoes formed rows and rows of air waves, pouring down like a storm. Any powerhouse below the Divine Tao realm who heard this kind of Divine Tao note would feel waves of palpitations, and their mind would be shaken. They would have to circulate their qi and resist it with all their might. Otherwise, it was very likely that the Divine Tao musical note would pierce through his primordial spirit. However, at this moment Qin Wushuang was at ease. Although he did not enter the Divine Tao realm, regardless of whether it was the physical body or the Divine Sense realm, Qin Wushuang was not the slightest bit weaker than the Divine Tao realm. Thus, this sort of Divine Tao note was utterly incapable of setting off tempestuous waves in his heart, and it was only like a cool breeze brushing past his face, and he didn't feel much of anything at all. Clearly, although the imposing manner of this Xian Tianwu was surging, she could not lock onto his position. However, he, Qin Wushuang, could clearly locate their position. When Lei Yu saw Xian Tianwu unleashing her power, he did not dare to fall behind. His figure transformed into a white light and like lightning, he whistled in the middle of the sky. For a time, lightning flashed and thunder rolled as he went along with Xian Tianwu. To the entire Phoenix Mountain, when two transformation Supreme Tao elite warriors unleashed their divine power together, it was truly a disaster. Low-level spiritual beasts had their primordial spirits shattered and died on the spot. Spiritual beasts of a higher level could not endure it as they all fled madly towards the outside of the Phoenix Mountain. The sudden arrival of the Doomsday caused the Phoenix Mountain to fall into a boundless disaster. Qin Wushuang fixed his gaze at these two Supreme Tao elite warriors in the sky, and a trace of a proud smile spilled from the corner of his mouth. He lifted the graceful spiritual bow and dashed forward all of a sudden. Whoosh! At the same time as his body dashed forward, he activated the graceful spiritual bow. With a few whooshing sounds, the shooting sun arrows pierced through the sky continuously. Shooting from left and right, he shot 4 arrows continuously. 2 in a group. He aimed at Xian Tianwu and Lei Yu. Since he shot 4 arrows at once, naturally he did not dare to let down his guard against Transformation Supreme Tao elite warriors. Of course, he also knew that even if he shot all 9 arrows, it would be impossible to defeat these Transformation Supreme Tao elite warriors. His goal was only to slow down their momentum. As the saying goes, create a diversion to the east and strike in the west. His true target was Luo Tongtian and Xian Wuji. Indeed, when Luo Tongtian saw a figure dashing out all of a sudden, his eyes turned cold instantly. His pupils contracted rapidly as he roared, "Two Taoist friends, Qin Wushuang, it's Qin Wushuang." As soon as his voice dropped, Qin Wushuang urged his wings and had already expanded from a black dot into a giant figure. His wings covered the sky as he launched an attack. "Luo Tongtian, today, it's you who has come to die." Qin Wushuang roared with laughter. "Watch my arrows." When Luo Tongtian heard these words, he was shocked inwardly. He initiated the presence of his entire body and transformed into a burst of meteoric light to dash towards the sky. Clearly, he would not dare to confront the shooting sun arrows head-on. On the other hand, Xian Wuji was scared out of his wits. He did not expect that Qin Wushuang would attack so suddenly. The most terrifying part was that this Qin Wushuang did not seem to show any signs of spiritual qi exhaustion. On the contrary, he was full of vigor as if he had rested for 10 days or half a month and was at the peak of his power. 1 arrow, 2 arrows, 3 arrows. Like the northern goshawk chasing its prey, the 3 shooting sun arrows pierced through the blue dome of heaven with unstoppable power. They shortened the distance of space and caught up with Luo Tongtian despite being launched later. At this moment, the disadvantage of entering the Coagulate Supreme Tao stage was revealed without a doubt. Luo Tongtian realized that as soon as he had gotten rid of the first arrow, the following arrows were approaching him with even more ferocious power. When the shooting sun arrows arrived, the 3 bursts of golden lights were like 3 rampaging vicious beasts that emitted a suffocating devouring power. Luo Tongtian only felt a surge of scorching power invade his body. For a time, it seemed that this wave of heat had locked all of his life force. In the next moment, Luo Tongtian's divine soul trembled with despair. "Ah!" A mournful cry pierced through the vast sky. Almost at the same time, the golden lights increased tremendously. The dazzling lights rushed to the extreme, as if a round of scorching sun had suddenly exploded. Tens and thousands of golden lights shot out and shattered Luo Tongtian's body into pieces. Before that fragile divine soul had the time to escape, it was swallowed by the golden lights and twisted into pieces. Almost in the blink of an eye, the life of a supreme Tao elite warrior had been harvested. With one move of the graceful spiritual bow, Qin Wushuang seemed to have descended from the ancient murderous god. With an aggressive temperament, his murderous intentions became even richer. However, his hands did not stop as he locked onto Xian Wuji with the graceful spiritual bow. Qin Wushuang said word by word with a cold tone, "Xian Wuji, do you think that you can avoid death by disguising yourself as a woman? Today, let me see how you escape this calamity." Before his voice had dropped, the shooting sun arrows had already shot out. The golden lights were like dragons and the imposing manner like tigers. It swallowed the wind and clouds and tore the sky apart. For a time, it seemed that only this tyrannical golden lights covered the entire blue dome of heaven in the entire sky. As soon as Qin Wushuang appeared, Xian Wuji knew that something was wrong. He cried out, "Aunt, save me!" Then, he turned around and drilled into the ground. Will it work if you use the same old trick? With a gloomy gaze, Qin Wushuang used a form of judgment to watch that golden light hit Xian Wuji's back at an even faster speed before he drilled into the ground. Boom! This time, Xian Wuji did not have the slightest trace of luck. When he was hit by this golden light, his entire body exploded at a visible speed. The shooting sun arrows hitting him was different than him exploding himself. He could cheat by self-exploding. However, the shooting sun arrows would not cooperate with him to cheat. Xian Wuji only felt a burst of despair inwardly. An endless sense of absurdity flashed across his mind. In the next moment it had become an eternity of death. The son of the heavenly emperor was struggling at death's door. In the end, he could not escape death. After Qin Wushuang had succeeded, he gave a long roar to the sky. Xian Tianwu, Lei Yu, if you have the guts, come after me. I would like to see how far you two can chase me. He waved his arm, and all the shooting sun arrows transformed into golden lights to stick to his body. Pushed by this golden light, Qin Wushuang's body moved even faster. He urged his wings and already dashed into the sky. He merged with the white clouds in the sky and became indistinguishable. Now, Xian Tianwu and Lei Yu rushed out from the tens and thousands of golden lights. They looked at each other and a trace of fear and uneasiness flashed across their eyes. This son of the Qin clan was getting more and more difficult to deal with. Appearing and disappearing unpredictably, even transformation supreme Dao warriors like them could not capture his whereabouts. Daoist Tianwu, we are in big trouble. Lei Yu looked at the direction where Xian Wuji had been killed and his face was devoid of blood. When Luo Tongtian died, they would not even bat an eyelid. However, Xian Wuji was the son of the heavenly emperor, the bloodline of the heavenly emperor. He had followed them out and was shot to death by Qin Wushuang before their eyes. This was big trouble. Xian Tianwu's face was ashen. It was the first time she felt such a strong sense of defeat. An elite warrior at the Transformation Supreme Dao stage could not do anything to someone beneath the Supreme Dao stage, someone she had always regarded as an ant. Qin Wushuang, I want you dead. Xian Tianwu's mournful roar shook the entire 100 Victory Prefecture. Xian Wuji was dead. Xian Tianwu could not accept everything. This time it was not a fake death. Wherever the shooting sun arrows went, not even Xian Wuji's bones remained. Even his divine soul power could not escape. He was truly dead, and it was a death that no one could resurrect. Upon thinking of the possible rage from the heavenly emperor, Xian Tianwu's scalp felt numb. She called to Lei Yu, now you and I have no way out. Either we kill Qin Wushuang and seize the graceful spiritual bow, or we will go back and accept our death before the heavenly emperor. Lei Yu said with a trembling voice, that kid would not dare to fight us head-on, he is restraining his fear of you and me. He did not go far, let's chase after him. Chase. These two elite warriors at the Transformation Supreme Dao stage were also decisive people. They no longer cared about regret and sadness. Instead, they chased after Qin Wushuang without hesitation. Without the restraint of Luo Tongtian and Xian Wuji, they urged their full power and their speed was much faster than before. In the sky, they searched for Qin Wushuang's remaining presence and chased after him. They only had one thought, and that was to kill Qin Wushuang and seize the graceful spiritual bow. Only in this way could they atone for their crimes and exchange their lives before the heavenly emperor. Beneath the Phoenix Mountain, it was a complete mess. Countless spiritual beasts were still endlessly terrified. They looked at the sky in panic, and their eyes revealed endless fear and lingering fear. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please log on to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 730. The pursuit was not as simple as they had imagined. After a few days of pursuit, they felt despair because they had lost Qin Wushuang's track. There were no tracking talismans, no clues, and not even the slightest clue. Currently, Xian Tianwu no longer had the slightest trace of her previous high spirits. Instead, it was replaced by a dispirited feeling of a defeated rooster. At this moment, Lei Yu did not wish to push away the responsibility to blame Xian Tianwu. It would be useless to blame Xian Tianwu now. At this point, it would be useless to blame each other. Daoist Tianwu, I must admit that you and I have already lost that kid. Lei Yu's tone was filled with bitterness. Xian Tianwu's somewhat beautiful face was now filled with a form of distortion. She almost ground her silver teeth into pieces. Qin Wushuang, how did such a monstrous figure emerge from the Qin clan? You and I at the transformation's supreme Dao stage cannot track him? Could it be this kid is already at the supreme Dao stage and is deliberately pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Lei Yu did not know whether to laugh or cry. I already said that this kid's changes are endless and cannot be speculated with common sense. Daoist Tianwu, now I am worried that if we do not take out this kid now, it will be difficult to take him out when he appears again. This time, His Majesty did not chase after him personally and sent you and me. He still underestimated him. With an ashen face, Xian Tianwu must admit this fact. Regardless of her or this Lei Yu, they could definitely defeat this Qin Wushuang in a head-on confrontation. However, for such pursuit, without the help of external power, it would be impossible to keep this Qin Wushuang. This person was too monstrous. Lei Yu, you know the temper of the Heavenly Emperor. How should we explain when we return? Xian Tianwu pulled her head of fine black hair painfully. When she thought of Xian Wuji's death, she felt a burst of heartache. She even doubted whether it was a rational choice to become enemies with the Qin clan. With such a monstrous figure emerging from the Qin clan in the future, it would definitely be a great nightmare to the Xian clan. Lei Yu gave a long sigh. We can only find an excuse. Or else, you and I will surely die when we return. Daoist Tianwu is the sister of His Majesty. Perhaps it will be better. I cannot escape the responsibility. I know His Majesty's personality. If he wants to kill you, certainly he will not forgive me. This was the so-called fairness on the surface. However, he is in need of people right now, so he might not kill us. I was only worried about whether he would pursue the matter. However, as you said, we need to find an excuse. How do we make up this excuse? Lei Yu smiled bitterly. It's simple, let's just say that when we were chasing this Qin Wushuang, suddenly a divine beast appeared and restrained you and me. It allowed Qin Wushuang to kill Wuji and that Luo Tongtian. Xian Tianwu's brain worked quickly. However, Lei Yu said, there are a lot of spirit beasts in Phoenix Mountain. They all saw the battle. I'm afraid it won't be easy to make up a lie. You don't have to worry about that. The cultivation of the spirit beasts in Phoenix Mountain is ordinary. They won't be able to see what's happening in the air. This excuse was very plausible. As long as you and I keep our mouths shut. Lei Yu sighed. At this time, if I don't bite my tongue, I won't be able to get over it. Let's just say that. Through the observant finger jade plate, Qin Wushuang saw that Xian Tianwu and Lei Yu had given up their pursuit. In other words, he had escaped the crisis. Although he felt slightly relieved inwardly, he did not reveal an ecstatic expression. These two could not catch up to me. I think they must be badly battered, right? Since Xian Wuji is dead, how can they report back? Haha, for this difficult problem, I will let the Xian clan deal with it. It's best if there is a great internal conflict and make it impossible for Xian Tianwen to execute his attack plan. If there are no major sects to rely on, without so many Supreme Dao elite warriors stepping out, just one Xian Tianwen and one Heavenly Emperor Gate, the Qin clan can deal with them. When Qin Wushuang shot Luo Tongtian and Xian Wuji, it could be said that he had obtained a complete victory in this battle. He summoned the two spiritual beasts and asked about the attack. After hearing the result of the battle, Qin Wushuang was also incredibly happy. The degree of attack on the Sound of Thunder sect and the Heavenly Punishing Villa was not less than the Heavenly Emperor Gate. Naturally, this formed a tremendous strike to these three sections. At the same time, it could intimidate those three neutral sections. It could be said that he had achieved his strategic goal. Qin Wushuang thought inwardly, currently this is all I can do. I hope the headquarter of the Qin clan can stand firm. The fate of the Qin clan is the fate of all clansmen. Before I came to the Qin clan, everyone has been working hard for the future of the Qin clan. If the heavens have eyes, please protect the Qin clan. When he arrived at the Tortoise King Mountain, Qin Wushuang made sure there were no tracking or spies. Then, he quietly entered the mountain cave and regrouped with Murong Su and the others. During these days, Murong Su had been in a state of fear. Although he had already learned about the recent situation through his spiritual perception, when he saw Qin Wushuang with his own eyes, he still felt much more at ease. Boss, powerful, now even elite warriors of the Transformation Supreme Dao stage cannot do anything to you. Ha ha ha, it seems that only that Xian Tianwen can make you restrain your fear, right? Qin Wushuang was not this optimistic. Bao Bao, do not underestimate the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. In a head-on confrontation, even if I have the graceful spiritual Bao, it's impossible for me to resist them. If I am attacked from left and right, perhaps I will not even have the chance to escape. I was able to shoot Luo Tongtian and Xian Wuji because I used the appropriate tactic. Plus, I cheated with the observant finger jade plate. My true strength is still far inferior to those at the Transformation Supreme Dao stage. Yes, when you enter the Supreme Dao stage, you will not be afraid of them. Boss, are we going to the Endless Eastern Sea now? Bao Bao asked. Qin Wushuang nodded. I have been looking forward to the Endless Eastern Sea for a long time. Haha, this time, it has been delayed for too long. Initially, one only needs to possess the Profound Void Martial stage to activate the formation. Currently, Qin Wushuang had clearly surpassed the Profound Void Martial stage. If he had not been delayed by some matters, he would have already gone to the Endless Eastern Sea. Now, he could use this opportunity to see if there were any new fortuitous opportunities at the fifth loop of the Seven Deadly Arrays formation. Each time the Seven Deadly Arrays formation was activated, it would bring many surprises to Qin Wushuang. This time, of course, Qin Wushuang had reason to look forward to it. It was because the master of the formation mentioned that for each level of this formation, certainly the circumstances and surprises would reach a higher level. Everyone, sit on this formation. I'll activate it. The two of them and the two beasts sat on the stone formation. Qin Wushuang activated the divine light and used the same method to activate the formation. Just like the transportation method in the past, it sent them directly into the transportation channel. They didn't know how much time had passed, but when they came back to their senses, the divine light had already dissipated, and the place they were in was another world. The Endless Eastern Sea. Truly, they had arrived at the Endless Eastern Sea. Although they were in a mountain cave, the exotic atmosphere was fully displayed even in this mountain cave. There was nothing special about the setup of each loop of the Seven Deadly Arrays formation. However, to Murong Su, it was the first time he had experienced the miraculous aspects of this formation. Naturally, he found it to be extremely novel. Brother Qin, does this formation have a total of 7 levels? Yes, the Seven Deadly Arrays formation has 7 levels. However, I don't know what the 6th and 7th levels look like. Perhaps the 6th level is only the continuation of the 5th level. However, according to the hint from the master of the formation, the 7th level should have surpassed the level of the first 6 levels. It should be the core of the entire formation. It's too miraculous. I really don't know who set up such a powerful formation that could cross so many forbidden spiritual zones. It's incredible. Murong Su knew deeply that to have such a method, it must be a supreme power of creation. Or else, how could the creation of the transportation formation exist through the forbidden spiritual zones? However, Bao Bao laughed. Boss, the first 3 loops of the 7 deadly arrays formation are all in the human countries. The 7th loop is the most special place. This way, only the 4th to 6th loops are in the forbidden spiritual zones. The 4th loop is in the Xian Yuan Mound and the 5th loop is in the endless Eastern Sea. Then, which forbidden spiritual zone do you think the 6th loop will be in? Only 2 of the 5 forbidden spiritual zones have appeared. The remaining 6th loop must be one of the 3. Qin Wushuang laughed. There will be a hint when you activate the formation. Sit on the side and don't move recklessly. Be careful of the formation's attack. Murong Su knew the depth of the situation. He took Bao Bao in loan and sat on the side quietly. With the experience from the previous loops, Qin Wushuang easily found the core of the 5th loop. He initiated his spiritual qi and activated the formation instantly. Initially, the lowest requirement for this 5th loop was to be at the profound void martial stage. Qin Wushuang was already at the exquisite mysterious boundary stage. Naturally, the speed of activating the core of this loop was much faster than he had imagined. That familiar and ancient voice sounded again. Lucky one, congratulations. Since you are able to reach this 5th loop, it means that your strength has already reached a higher level. You are qualified to break into the high-end world of the Tian Xian land. Perhaps you are at the profound void martial stage, perhaps you are already at the perfect void martial stage, or even higher. These are not important. The higher your strength, the more advantageous it will be for you. However, please remember, the next loop is also the most crucial one besides the 7th loop of the 7 deadly arrays formation. It is set at the Heavenly Fire southern border. You must never go without being at the Supreme Tao stage. Different than the previous loop, this loop had given this warning from the beginning. Clearly, this warning was extremely important. Qin Wushuang felt apprehensive as he thought inwardly. Only those at the Supreme Tao stage can explore the Heavenly Fire southern border. It seems that the 6th loop of the Heavenly Fire southern border is extremely important. At the same time, it is also extremely dangerous. After a pause, that voice continued to speak. When you arrive at the endless Eastern Sea, compared to the Xian Yuan Mound, to human martial artists, the degree of danger has increased by at least 5 times. Therefore, for this loop, the first gift for you is a set of Supreme Tao armor to replace the original Azure armor. A set of Supreme Tao armor? It seemed that he did not need the reward. For the Supreme Tao armor, Qin Wushuang had already acquired one when he won the championship at the Illusion Heavenly Lake. Of course, one would never complain about having too many of such good things. This loop was prepared for the profound void martial stage. Initially, the Supreme Tao armor was extremely precious. The reason why Qin Wushuang was not moved was because he had progressed too quickly. Additionally, he had already acquired a set of Supreme Tao armor and the Supreme Tao fruit that was even more precious than the armor. This way, he had such thoughts. The second one is a book called Forging Mysterious Record. It is a secret book that talks about the essence of the training of the Supreme Tao stage. Even Supreme Tao elite warriors would fight over it until their heads bled. As for the third one, it's a must for you to survive at the endless Eastern Sea, the illusory water wheel. This object is a must for human martial artists to enter the endless Eastern Sea. Only this object can travel in the water as if it were flat ground. It can ignore the power of the endless Eastern Sea. There are 10 of these illusory water wheels. Inwardly, Qin Wushuang found it strange. Why would 10 be prepared? Could it be that the owner of this formation knew the future and knew that he would bring his friends? To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. More chapters. Support the author. Support the original reading. Chapter 731. Of course, considering the sealed spiritual beasts in the fourth loop, it was easy to understand why 10 illusory water wheels appeared in this loop. While Qin Wushuang was lost in thought, that voice continued to speak. The fourth item, and the most important one, are 2 heaven escape books. This heaven escape book will allow you to escape before any crisis. Regardless of the level of the elite warrior you are facing, under any kind of environment, you can escape with the help of this heaven escape book. However, this heaven escape book is a consumable item. You can only use it twice. This object is not ordinary. Unless it is absolutely necessary, it is not recommended to use it easily. Also, within 3 meters of this object, you can bring your allies with you to escape. It seems that this endless eastern sea was indeed the most dangerous forbidden spiritual zone. It was apparent just by looking at the heaven escape book prepared at the 5th loop. For the 10 scrolls of the endless eastern sea map, I have already prepared them for you at the 4th loop. Lucky one, enjoy the journey at the endless eastern sea. Remember, before entering the Supreme Tao stage, do not try to enter the 6th loop. Remember. After he had finished speaking, this voice gradually became dim until it became completely silent. Qin Wushuang withdrew his divine power and let out a light breath. He walked out from the stone formation and said to Murong Su with a smile, "All right, this is the procedure for each loop." Murong Su opened her thin lips lightly and said with a smile, "Brother Qin, this formation is truly miraculous. It's a rare commodity worth hoarding. No wonder Big Brother Qin has always given people many pleasant surprises all along. Looks like this array formation's contribution indeed cannot go unnoticed." "Ha, Sister Murong, since my boss inherited this formation, it proves that he is the chosen one. Whatever heavenly Luo Daoist sect, whatever heavenly Emperor Gate, in the end they will certainly turn into ashes when they go against my boss." Bao Bao spoke with an exaggerated tone. Qin Wushuang waved his hand. "Bao Bao, don't flatter me. The head chief asked us young disciples to escape and ask for help from the totem powerhouses of each forbidden spiritual zone. Initially at the Illusion Heavenly Lake, when I won the exam, many totem elite warriors of the forbidden spiritual zone were not friendly to me. Therefore, this time, the mission is rather difficult. Su'er, I plan to take you guys to visit a friend." "Friend? Boss, you also have friends at the endless eastern sea?" Bao Bao blinked his eyes and revealed an extremely curious expression. "Boss, this is so rare." Murong Su also felt somewhat strange. At the endless eastern sea, human martial artists rarely got involved, let alone friends. Qin Wushuang smiled and said, "That's a friend I made in the human countries. Moreover, he is the one who gifted me the graceful spiritual bow." Graceful spiritual bow. Bao Bao opened his mouth widely. "Boss, that powerful bow of yours that can kill in all directions was given to you by a friend?" "Yes, Big Brother Shang Yi gave it to me," Qin Wushuang said with a smile. At that time, Big Brother Shang Yi only said that this bow was no small matter and that it was a very powerful bow. I didn't know that this graceful spiritual bow actually had such an origin. This is unbelievable. Who gave me such a great killing weapon? Bao Bao mumbled. It's a pity that I, the great descendant of the immemorial spiritual monkey, do not have a single suitable supreme Tao weapon. Ah. Qin Wushuang laughed. This endless eastern sea is a paradise for you beast clans. Bao Bao, if you want a supreme Tao weapon, let's see if there are any fortuitous opportunities at the endless eastern sea. Bao Bao also pulled his fist and cried out, boss, at the forbidden spiritual zone dominated by human martial artists, you were in the limelight. Now at the forbidden spiritual zone dominated by the beast clans, it's time for you to see my great power, right? Ha ha, boss, I must break into the Supreme Tao stage at the endless Eastern Sea. You have ambition, but you still need to work hard. Qin Wushuang knew that Bao Bao was also at the exquisite mysterious boundary stage. With his bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey, it would not be impossible for him to enter the Supreme Tao stage. As for the purple flame electric beast, although he didn't say anything, the glint of determination in his eyes had completely revealed his determination. These three had been together not long after they had stepped onto the path of martial arts. In the beginning, their strength was ahead of Qin Wushuang. Up to this point, the purple flame electric beast was the one that fell behind the most. Being a spiritual beast, of course he had his pride. Murong Su revealed a charming smile. You guys just work hard. A while ago, I was dragged by my father for special training and am somewhat numb to training. Bao Bao chuckled. Sister Murong, what are you afraid of? You just need to train casually. When you reach the peak of the common mysterious stage of the exquisite mysterious boundary stage, ask Boss Wushuang to give you a Supreme Tao fruit and you will enter the Supreme Tao stage. It's the same as saving a few decades of hard work. Murong Su was not angry as she said with a radiant smile, Little monkey, even if I enter the Supreme Tao stage, I cannot compare to your bloodline of the immemorial spiritual monkey. Bao Bao was proud as he boasted. That's right, besides boss, no one can compare to me. Qin Wushuang did not continue to argue with Bao Bao. Instead, he wandered around the cave a few times to get a general understanding of the layout and the surrounding terrain. At the endless Eastern Sea, the core area was not the surface of the sea, but the underwater waters. Naturally, this formation was located at the bottom of the sea. However, this was the most miraculous part of this creation. Even at the bottom of the sea, regardless of this cave or the surrounding area, almost no water could invade. Qin Wushuang thought inwardly, this water cannot invade, is it the defenses of the cave itself? Or is it the case for the underwater mountain ranges of the endless Eastern Sea? The water in the surrounding area was also incredibly stable. Through observation of the terrain, Qin Wushuang knew that this area was an area where the underwater mountain ranges gathered. Of course, this cave was chosen at the most precipitous place and the place where it would not be easily discovered. Qin Wushuang wandered a few times and returned to the cave. He said, Each of you will get one illusory water wheel. This object will ensure that you will walk on the endless Eastern Sea as if you are walking on flat ground. It will allow you to feel the water pressure as if you are feeling the air. This formation is good. Bao Bao took it and chuckled. After equipping this illusory water wheel, Qin Wushuang said, This cave is located at the Green Jade Wood Gulf. At the endless Eastern Sea, one gulf is equivalent to 7 or 8 prefectures in the Xian Yuan Mound. The entire endless Eastern Sea has about 20 gulfs. At the endless Eastern Sea, there are the true 9 dragon clans and the non-traditional 9 dragon clans. On the surface, they are all descendants of the dragon clans and the rulers of the endless Eastern Sea. Each clan is equivalent to a suzerain of a gulf. The totem powerhouse of the endless Eastern Sea is the Forefather Dragon Clan. The Forefather Dragon Clan has the surname Ao. Ao? Bao Bao muttered this surname and laughed. This surname is rather interesting. Yes, the surname Ao is the characteristic of the totem powerhouse. At the endless Eastern Sea, anyone with the surname Ao is a disciple of the totem clan. However, it's rumored that although the totem clan is honorable, it's extremely difficult to nurture the bloodline. Therefore, the number of people of the totem clan has never flourished. It's because the Forefather Dragon Clan refuses to marry with the other true 9 dragon clans and the non-traditional 9 dragon clans. This is to maintain the purity of the bloodline of the forefather dragon clan. However, it also makes it more difficult for them to reproduce. On the contrary, the true 9 dragon clans and the non-traditional 9 dragon clans are extremely open about their bloodline. Upon hearing Qin Wushuang introducing the information of the endless Eastern Sea, Murong Su was also fascinated. Suddenly, he said, "Brother Qin, this way, when we arrive at the endless Eastern Sea, could it be that our phantom dragon egg will have a chance to hatch?" To the floating snow house, after Mu Rong Qianji had entered the Supreme Tao stage, the position of the floating snow house had risen along with the tide. If the bloodline of the immemorial phantom dragon could be hatched, it would be equivalent to the floating snow house gaining another Supreme Tao warrior. Additionally, Supreme Tao spiritual beasts were almost unique in the Xian Yuan Mound. This would ensure that the floating snow house would be qualified to enter the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gate. Of course, the prerequisite was that the Qin clan must rise up and seize the Heavenly Emperor seat again. Or else, if the Xian clan was still in charge of the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gates, it would be impossible for the floating snow house to enter the Heavenly Emperor 8 Gate. Upon hearing Murong Su's question, Qin Wushuang said with a smile, "If we only need the dragon breath of the dragon clan to hatch the bloodline of the immemorial phantom dragon, then my sealed spiritual beast, swallowing sky lion dragon, is from the lion dragon clan of the non-traditional 9 dragon clans. If I had not been busy, I would have already let it hatch." After he had finished speaking, he took out the sealed scroll and summoned the swallowing sky lion dragon. "Master, there is another battle?" The swallowing sky lion dragon was in high spirits. Suddenly, the expression of the swallowing sky lion dragon changed. Instantly, his expression became solemn as he stuttered, This is the endless Eastern Sea? My homeland?" Suddenly, the rims of the eyes of the swallowing sky lion dragon turned red. Although sealed spiritual beasts did not have any emotions to speak of, such primitive state of mind was automatically imprinted in their spiritual perception. When they arrived at the endless Eastern Sea, naturally, they would develop a form of intimacy with their homeland. Qin Wushuang did not hide it. "Yes, swallowing sky, this is the endless Eastern Sea." "Good. Very good." The tone of the swallowing sky lion dragon was also full of bitterness. "When we arrived at the endless Eastern Sea, the nest of the lion dragon clan is here. Unfortunately, haha. Swallowing sky, when I am strong enough, I will be able to break your sealed contract and restore your freedom. By that time, it will not be difficult for you to return to the lion dragon clan." The swallowing sky lion dragon said with gratitude, "If I can truly regain my freedom, I will also vow to follow you in battle." Qin Wushuang waved his hand. "Those are all for later. Lion Dragon, let me ask you, I have an egg with the bloodline of the immemorial phantom dragon. I heard that it will hatch with the dragon breath, is that true?" The swallowing sky lion dragon nodded. "Basically, it's like that. For the dragon clan, usually the male dragon has a stronger dragon breath. Therefore, it's the male dragon that incubates the egg." Bao Bao twitched his mouth into a grin. "Daddy." The swallowing sky lion dragon rolled his eyes. "Little monkey, what do you know? This is the inheritance of the great dragon clan. It's not like you uncivilized beast clans, you don't have the slightest maternal instinct." Qin Wushuang took out the bloodline of the immemorial phantom dragon and said to the swallowing sky lion dragon, "Lion dragon, then use your dragon breath and see if you can hatch this little immemorial phantom dragon." The swallowing sky lion dragon took the egg of the phantom dragon and sensed it for a moment. Then, he nodded. Indeed, there is the presence of a dragon beast inside. It's extremely ancient and has a feeling of coming from the ancient wilderness. Let me try. When he found a quiet and refreshing area, the swallowing sky lion dragon initiated his dragon breath and really hatched it. With this effort, a day and night had passed. Sweat emerged from the forehead of the swallowing sky lion dragon as he said to Qin Wushuang with a bitter smile, "Master, most likely this phantom dragon egg is extraordinary. Even with my dragon breath, I cannot hatch it and there is not the slightest movement. Although the little guy inside has not been born, his spiritual awareness has already reached the level of a bandit. My communication is like a stone sinking into the sea." The swallowing sky lion dragon was an invincible existence beneath the supreme Tao stage. Even his dragon breath could not hatch it. Then, the bloodline of this immemorial phantom dragon was too pure, too pure. To be continued. If you want to know what happened later, please go to www.chidian.com. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 732. Qin Wushuang and Murong Su looked at each other in dismay. They always thought that an elite warrior of the dragon clan could hatch this phantom dragon egg. Unexpectedly, swallowing sky lion dragon could not do it. This was somewhat out of Qin Wushuang's expectation. As he looked at the phantom dragon egg lying there quietly, it emitted a wave of unique bewitching aura. Only, although this wave of bewitching aura was unique, it did not appear evil. On the contrary, it appeared to emit a wave of majestic and ancient presence. Qin Wushuang gave a long sigh. This bloodline of the phantom dragon should be a genuine immemorial bloodline. Only those bloodlines inherited from the ancient desolate era would have such a rich presence. Bao Bao, what do you think? Bao Bao laughed. Boss, I am sure that this bloodline is also an immemorial bloodline. Its presence is stronger than mine. Most likely, this phantom dragon bloodline is born at the supreme Tao stage and grows at a rapid speed. Bao Bao, for the battle of the geniuses, you must work hard. Bao Bao said with extreme confidence, Boss, don't worry, I will not lose to this little guy that has not been born yet. You cannot say that it has not been born yet. In fact, it has already been born. Only, it is nurturing life inside the phantom dragon egg. In fact, this is also a training process. Yes, then I will compete with it. I must achieve the supreme Tao stage before it breaks out of the egg. Humph. Alright, let's adjust ourselves in this cave for now, consolidate our strength and get familiar with the map of the endless Eastern Sea. In 3 days, we will depart officially and head to the Falling Treasure Gulf. It was the ruling place of the Coiled Dragon Clan. There, the Coiled Dragon Clan was the absolute overlord and possessed absolute ruling power. Shang Ye's father-in-law, Long de Bao, was one of the patriarchs of the Coiled Dragon Clan. He was one of the most powerful in the clan. Across the entire endless Eastern Sea, besides the totem forefather Dragon Clan, the entire Coiled Dragon Clan definitely ranked in the top 3 among the true 9 dragon clans and the non-traditional 9 dragon clans. According to the map, in fact, the Falling Treasure Gulf was a gulf adjacent to the endless Eastern Sea and the human countries. Inside the endless Eastern Sea, it could be said to be a rather desolate place. If Qin Wushuang had entered through the entrance of the human countries, it would be closer. The Jade Wood Gulf of the 5th Loop was located in the middle of the endless Eastern Sea. It was further away from the Falling Treasure Gulf. Qin Wushuang was also helpless. He stared blankly at the map for a moment. If it wasn't for the Heavenly Monarch Gate chasing after me all over the world, I would rather return to the human nations and set off from there. Boss, we can return to the 4th ring, and then use the formation to return to the 3rd ring. Wasn't the 3rd ring in the human countries? This way we will be close, Bao Bao suggested. It was not that Qin Wushuang had not considered this situation, yet he still shook his head. Bao Bao, the moment we came out from the Heavenly Emperor Mountain, I already notified the Stargaze Palace and my people to enter the endless Eastern Sea to avoid disaster. If I were to return to the human nations, if the Heavenly Emperor Gate's spies were to see me, it would bring disaster to the entire human nations. Besides, I do not want to expose the secret of the endless Eastern Sea entrance to them. If the Heavenly Emperor Gate learns that my family and colleagues are hiding at the entrance of the endless Eastern Sea, the Heavenly Emperor Gate will certainly capture them and threaten me. Bao Bao nodded. That's right, it seems we cannot go there. Or else, if the Heavenly Emperor Gate learns that they are hiding at the endless Eastern Sea, it would be terrible. Yes. The strength of the Heavenly Emperor is extraordinary. Perhaps those beneath the Supreme Tao stage could not do anything to the 3 forbidden gates of the endless Eastern Sea. However, for a genuine Supreme Tao warrior like the Heavenly Emperor, it's another story whether the barriers would work. Murong Su also said, Brother Qin, let's go through the Green Jade Gulf. Although it's a few million miles, as long as we fly at full speed, it won't take too long. Okay, in 3 days we will depart on time. On the other hand, Qin Wushuang had arrived at the 5th ring. However, the Heavenly Emperor Gate was in a complete mess. Heavenly Emperor Xian Tianwen was almost driven mad. Without the need for Xian Tianwu to report Xian Wuji's death, he sensed it immediately. After confirming Xian Wuji's death, Xian Tianwen flew into a thunderous rage. He directly ordered Xian Tianwu and Lei Yu to capture Qin Wushuang. However, Qin Wushuang had already arrived at another forbidden spiritual zone through the formation. Even if the Heavenly Emperor Gate were to search the entire Xian Yuan Mound, it would be impossible for them to find Qin Wushuang. While Xian Tianwu and Lei Yu were busy for a while, in the end they could not find Qin Wushuang. Under the raging fury of the Heavenly Emperor, they returned to the Heavenly Emperor Gate to await the punishment from the Heavenly Emperor. Although these two had already made up their minds, they were still on tenterhooks inwardly. After all, the power of the Heavenly Emperor was unfathomable. Who knew whether or not the Heavenly Emperor would kill them directly under his fury? Although the Heavenly Emperor was in dire need of manpower, indeed the death of Xian Wuji had offended the Heavenly Emperor's reverse scale. Under Xian Tianwen's feet, Xian Tianwu and Lei Yu both knelt on one knee and did not dare to utter a sound. Before the Heavenly Emperor asked questions, the only thing they could do was to remain silent and wait for the Heavenly Emperor to ask questions. Tianwu, earlier, how did you boast in front of me? Xian Tianwen's tone was incredibly indifferent. However, within this indifference, there were traces of coldness. Xian Tianwu said with fear and trepidation, Your Majesty, who would have expected that Qin Wushuang had colluded with a Supreme Tao spiritual beast? If the Supreme Tao spiritual beast had not suddenly appeared and restrained me and Lei Yu, how could that Qin Wushuang have the chance to shoot Wuji and Luo Tongtian to death? Divine beast? Xian Tianwen raised his brow and a trace of doubt emerged from his dignified face. Xian Tianwu said, Yes, Your Majesty, this kid Qin Wushuang is incredible. If we do not take him out soon, he will certainly become a great disaster in the future. In my opinion, we must kill this kid. Your Majesty, Daoist Tianwu is right. Qin Wushuang is extraordinary. There are too many mysteries surrounding this kid. It seems that he always has endless trump cards and unexpected moves. For now, he would not dare to fight against elite warriors of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage. However, with time, who knows whether or not he would not fear them? By that time, I am afraid that besides Your Majesty, no one could do anything to him, right? It seemed as if someone had whipped Xian Tianwen's face as his facial muscles squirmed. Qin Wushuang, just what fortuitous opportunity did this devilish figure get? Xian Tianwen also had a lot of knowledge about the history of the Qin clan. In terms of the history of the Qin clan, even at their most prosperous and most exceptional generation, it seemed that there was no such devilish figure as Qin Wushuang. Beneath the Supreme Tao stage, he could kill elite warriors of the Coagulate Supreme Tao stage. Even elite warriors of the Transformation Supreme Tao stage could not do anything to him. Due to his understanding of the Qin clan, he felt even more astonished by the appearance of Qin Wushuang. Now, even Xian Tianwen, the Heavenly Emperor, also felt a surge of strong uneasiness at the speed of Qin Wushuang's growth. Tianchen, have you arranged everything that I asked you to do earlier? It's all arranged. As soon as you gave the order, I informed all the prefecture masters to activate all surveillance and all intelligence systems. Even if that Qin Wushuang transformed into a mosquito, he could not escape. Then now there should be some news, the Heavenly Emperor said with dignity. Your Majesty, I am worried that Qin Wushuang would escape to other forbidden spiritual zones? Xian Tianchen asked. It's not impossible. Xian Tianwen said with a low voice. However, if all intelligence systems are activated, that Qin Wushuang would not have escaped into thin air to go to other forbidden spiritual zones. Regardless of which forbidden spiritual zone he goes to, he must pass through many prefectures. Yes, so it's even stranger. Up to this point, there is no accurate information. Investigate, keep investigating. Keep a close eye on the direction of the human countries. Certainly that Qin Wushuang is worried that we would make a move on the people of the human countries. Your Majesty, for that human country, I already sent some trusted aides to investigate. If it doesn't work, should we capture a few of his family and colleagues? I have already inquired that Qin Wushuang has a father, a sister, and a teacher in the human countries. To him, these three people are the most important. As long as we capture any one of these three, Xian Tianwen said with a low voice, this is taking a risk out of desperation. Even for the Heavenly Emperor Gate, we cannot make a move on the human countries. Or else, most likely it would cause a great chaotic war in the forbidden spiritual zones. To make a move there, we must take care of all the aftermath and make sure no one knows. Haha, isn't that a straightforward matter? We are not the Heavenly Luo Daoist sect. How could we not do things cleanly? Xian Tianchen was rather confident in this aspect. Yes, have the people we sent arrived at the human countries? It should be soon, Xian Tianchen said. Let me contact them. After communicating with the communication jade plate for a while, Xian Tianchen's expression became solemn as he said, Your Majesty, they are already here. However, that heavenly royal mansion, the main figures of the Stargaze Palace are all gone. Gone? Xian Tianwen's expression turned cold as he immediately understood. His teeth emitted a creaking sound. Indeed, this kid Qin Wushuang is cunning. He has already prepared against us. Suddenly, Xian Tianchen said, Your Majesty, how big is that human countries, where could they hide? Xian Tianwen glared at him. This will depend on how capable the people you sent are. I am worried that they will hide and it will be difficult to find them. That Stargaze Palace is close to the endless Eastern Sea. If they hide there, we will not find them at all. Endless Eastern Sea? Xian Tianwen gave a cold sneer. With the little skills of the human countries, they would be courting death if they went to the endless Eastern Sea. At least, they would have a slim chance of survival. Xian Tianchen said, Your Majesty, if they are truly hiding at the endless Eastern Sea, when that Qin Wushuang returns to the human countries, he will certainly regroup with them at the endless Eastern Sea. Let's send people to wait for him at the human countries. Perhaps we will receive a miraculous effect? Xian Tianwen nodded slightly. After a moment of thinking, he shouted, Tianwu, I will give you another chance to redeem yourself. Your Majesty, please instruct me. I will lend you the god-killing bow for now. The power of this bow is the top among the genuine divine 6 weapons. When Transformation Supreme Tao elite warriors meet this bow, they will surely die. Take this bow and wait at the entrance of the endless Eastern Sea. Once that Qin Wushuang comes there, use this bow to kill him. Let him know that not only does he know how to use the bow, the Heavenly Emperor Gate also has a supreme divine bow. Yes. Fervent lights flashed from Xian Tianwu's eyes. With the god-killing bow at hand, if she were to meet that Qin Wushuang, it would be strange if she did not shoot him to death. Initially at the Phoenix Mountain, if she had the god-killing bow, how could she have allowed Qin Wushuang to kill Xian Wuji with ease? Today I will update at 5. Regardless of how late it is, I will only rest after updating. I will risk it all. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 733. Xian Tianwen was in a rush to kill Qin Wushuang that he even took out the genuine Divine Six weapons. For this thing, Xian Tianwen had never shared it with his subordinate. Just when Xian Tianwu was about to depart with the god-killing bow, suddenly Xian Tianchen said, "Hold on. Tianchen, what else do you have to say?" Xian Tianwu looked at him with some suspicion. "Tianwu, initially when you and Lei Yu chased after Qin Wushuang, didn't Wuji say that Qin Wushuang had some observant finger jade plate? If he has that thing, your infiltration is a waste of effort. He will not be able to approach. Therefore, if you are going, you must change your spiritual perception." That's right. Xian Tianwu gave a long sigh. That kid is truly devilish. With that observant finger jade plate, it's truly not easy to approach him. Xian Tianwen said with a cold sneer, "This is easy, it's only a spiritual perception search technique. Tianwu, I will bestow you with a hidden soul talisman. Wear this talisman and it will protect you from having any spiritual perception." "How could he find you?" Xian Tianwu said with great joy. "If that's the case, as long as the whereabouts of that Qin Wushuang falls into my hands, I must kill him." "Yes, go." Xian Tianwen flicked his finger and a burst of earthy yellow light drew an arc and attached itself to Xian Tianwu's body. After Xian Tianwu thanked him, she immediately departed and flew towards the human countries. "Your Majesty, for the matter of Wuji, you must restrain your grief. Now, the Qin clan will certainly be happy to see us in a chaotic situation. Therefore, regardless, we must not lose our footing. All arrangements must be carried out step by step. As long as that Qin Wushuang does not walk out of the Xian Yuan mound, we will not be afraid of him flying anywhere. As soon as he appears, we will surround and kill him. Among the 6 major sects, besides our Heavenly Emperor Gate, each sect has one transformation Supreme Tao warrior. It's more than enough to surround and kill that Qin Wushuang." During the trip to the Illusion Heavenly Lake, Xian Tianchen had suffered at the hands of the Qin clan. He had learned a profound lesson. However, this Xian Tianchen was not a brainless person. On the contrary, he had some specialty in strategy and allowed him to receive the favor and trust of the Heavenly Emperor. At this moment, only he could speak before the Heavenly Emperor. Xian Tianwen took a light breath and nodded. "When pursuing Qin Wushuang, we should change our strategy. If we chase after him openly, it would be too much of a show and it would be easy for him to find out. It was impossible for him to guard against the pursuit in the dark. With the dense information network of the entire Xian Yuan mound, unless he doesn't appear, as soon as he appears, he will have nowhere to hide." "Your Majesty is wise," Xian Tianchen said with great joy. "Now, for the aspiring Throne Mountain, we cannot let them be arrogant for too long. And pass down my orders. Tomorrow at 7 a.m., we will attack aspiring Throne Mountain for the 2nd time. As long as the Qin is not destroyed, I swear I will not withdraw." Although Lei Ming and Luo Tongtian, 2 great Supreme Tao elite warriors, had died, as well as a group of exquisite mysterious boundary experts, the main force of the Heavenly Emperor Gate did not suffer any serious injuries. Xian Tianwen, Xian Tianchen, and Xian Tianchong, the 3 elite warriors of the Xian clan, Lei Yu, the transformation Supreme Tao elite warrior of the Sound of Thunder sect, and the two brothers Yen Beifei and Yen Guinan of the Heavenly Punishing Villa. For the other three major sects, under the situation where Heavenly Emperor Xin Tianwen used both hard and soft tactics, in the end, they were unable to withdraw successfully. They also knew that they were grasshoppers on the same rope as the Heavenly Emperor Gate. Inside the Qin clan, due to the head chief, the atmosphere was somewhat oppressive and tragic. Only, in the recent half-month, the head chief was in a good situation. It was because the Nirvana Heavenly Plough was not activated by divine power. It was almost in a silent state and did not consume any divine soul power. Therefore, the head chief was able to rest. He had more or less recovered some vital energy and received some rest. Now, inside the upright morality hall, the clansmen of the Qin clan also gathered together. Ji Song had a short temper as he asked first, "Third chief, is the head chief all right?" For now, the situation is stable. In half a month, his divine soul has almost recovered. It's not a big problem. Everyone, don't worry, the divine power of the head chief is far beyond our imagination. Yes, that's good. For this Heavenly Emperor Gate, I don't know what they are up to. Ji Song swore. It would be best if that Xin Tianwen suddenly died. Haha, that would be perfect. Good people don't live long, but scourges live for thousands of years. For someone as ambitious and ruthless as Xin Tianwen, before his destiny runs out, he will not die so easily, Ji Huai said coldly. Not dead? Sooner or later, he will be our prey. Qin Chongyang said, "Everyone, this time, you don't need to worry about the Xian clan playing any trick." Wu Shuang attacked the Heavenly Emperor Gate and caused a ruckus in the Xian clan, the Heavenly Punishing Villa, and the Sound of Thunder sect. Without some time to deal with the aftermath, certainly it will not work. Additionally, they will certainly send people to kill Wu Shuang. With this delay, it goes without saying that their morale will be damaged. Even if Xin Tianwen can control the situation with his Heavenly Emperor prestige, certainly the other 5 major sects will not be as high-spirited as before. Wu Shuang's surprise attack is much better than I expected. This is an unexpected surprise. Yes, it's too unexpected. When he left, he never said he would attack the Heavenly Emperor Gate. This is simply too creative, and also very bold. As the saying goes, newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. For us old guys, we have no choice but to admit that we are old. Now, it's the young people's world. Third chief, is Wu Shuang safe now? He could not have been caught by those bastards from the Heavenly Emperor Gate, right? Don't worry, of course Wu Shuang has his sense of propriety. Now, he should be out of trouble. Qin Chongyang said seriously. Everyone, get ready for another battle. Since that Xian clan failed to deal with Wu Shuang, they will certainly shift their anger to the aspiring throne mountain. This battle has just begun. Yes, Wu Shuang and the others are doing a great job outside. For those of us who are guarding at home, we must not mess things up. Or else, when Wu Shuang and the others return, we cannot face them. 3 days passed by in the blink of an eye. In these 3 days, Qin Wu Shuang still focused on training the graceful spiritual bow. Unexpectedly, besides this graceful spiritual bow being helpful to the tempering of his spiritual perception, it also increased his strength significantly. Unconsciously, Qin Wu Shuang already showed signs of touching the peak of the common mysterious stage. Of course, Qin Wu Shuang would not act with undue haste. He knew that the tempering of the spiritual perception with the graceful spiritual bow was a good process. It would build a solid foundation for him to enter the Supreme Tao stage. For the Supreme Tao stage, the Divine Soul stage was incredibly important. A powerful Divine Soul would determine the height and breadth of the Supreme Tao stage. To walk further on the Supreme Tao stage, a powerful Divine Soul stage was incredibly important. A group of 2 humans and 2 beasts stepped onto the endless Eastern Sea journey. With Qin Wu Shuang's strength, at the endless Eastern Sea, as long as he did not encounter elite warriors of the transformation's Supreme Tao stage, he was basically invincible. Therefore, although this trip was dangerous, basically, as long as he did not encounter those super monstrous warriors of the endless Eastern Sea, it would not be a big problem. 4 ordinary spiritual beasts beneath the Supreme Tao stage, Qin Wushuang could just summon the dark mysterious snake and swallowing sky lion dragon to clear the way. It would be enough to clear the area. Similar to the Xian Yuan Mound, ordinary Supreme Tao elite warriors would not leave their sects easily and would not wander around. Therefore, for Qin Wushuang's trip, although they encountered various kinds of problems each day, almost all of them were solved easily and did not encounter any difficulties. After about 1.5 months, Qin Wushuang and his group arrived at the Falling Treasure Gulf. When Shang Yi received Qin Wushuang's spiritual perception, he had already arrived at the border of the Falling Treasure Gulf to welcome them. Between the major clans of the endless Eastern Sea, usually they would not barge into other territories. Therefore, Shang Yi could only welcome them within the territory of the Falling Treasure Gulf. After leaving the Falling Treasure Gulf, with his identity as the son-in-law of the Coiled Dragon clan, it would be rather sensitive. When the 2 brothers met again, Shang Yi roared with laughter. "Brother, I thought you would not come this quickly. I didn't expect that you really came. Great. This time, you are not allowed to leave until you stay at my place for 3 or 5 years. When Qin Wushuang saw that Shang Ye's personality had become so cheerful, he also felt incredibly gratified inwardly. This must be my sister-in-law, ha ha. Big brother Shang Yi, hello. Murong Su nodded and said courteously. Good, good. Ha ha, brother. I can see with one look that your sister-in-law is a refined and virtuous girl. Nice, she matches well with your personality. Su Mi, who was on the side, teased him. Big brother Shang Yi, are you saying that our personalities are not compatible? Or are you blaming me for not having a virtuous personality? Shang Yi touched his nose and said with a bitter smile, Su Er, I didn't mean it this way. Your personality matches well with mine. Ha ha, or else, how could you and I have today's fate? Su Mi rolled her eyes and pulled Murong Su's hand with a chuckle. Little sister Murong, let's go talk, let's not stay with these big men. Ha ha, indeed sister Su Er and big brother Shang Yi are a good match. Murong Su also said with a smile. Hee hee, that silly boy. Only I, your elder sister, would fancy him. Su Mi asked with a full smile. Sister, why didn't you tell us you were coming to the endless Eastern Sea? We came in a hurry, sister Su Er. Yes, when you are here, just treat it as your own home. Little sister Murong, how does the endless Eastern Sea compare to your Xian Yuan Mound? Each has their own style, they are all beautiful. On the other side, Qin Wushuang and Shang Yi were also chatting. When Shang Yi heard Qin Wushuang's narration, he raised his sword-like eyebrows and swore, that Heavenly Emperor Gate, is this shameless? Big brother, it's all right for the Heavenly Emperor Gate to be shameless. Now we are worried that the Totem clan also has elite warriors interfering. That would be troublesome. Shang Yi gave a long sigh. Brother, the Qin clan is in such a difficult situation. It's also because of the internal struggle within the Xian Yuan Mound. Being the big brother, I would not dare to make any promises. However, there is one point: if the Qin clan is not tolerated by the Xian Yuan Mound in the future, come to the Falling Treasure Gulf. My Coiled Dragon clan will never look down on you. There will be a place for you. Qin Wushuang already felt incredibly happy when he was given such a promise. After all, at most, the powerhouse of the Coiled Dragon clan was on par with the Heavenly Emperor Gate. It was impossible for them to resist the Totem clan. Therefore, he was already extremely grateful to be able to say these words. Big brother, this time I have come to pay a visit to the Forefather Dragon clan. Qin Wushuang spoke of his purpose of coming straightforwardly. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please log on to www. Chidian. Calm, there are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 734. There was a trace of astonishment in Shang Ye's eyes as he said with astonishment, "Pay a visit to the forefather dragon clan? Brother, you showed off at the illusion Heavenly Lake and suppressed Jiang Kuei of the one-horned dragon clan. You also made the totem elite warriors of the dragon clan somewhat annoyed. I am afraid it will not go smoothly for you to pay a visit to the forefather dragon clan. Brother, I came under orders, there is no other way. If the totem elite warriors of the Xian Yuan Mound interfere with the Heavenly Emperor Mountain competition, the Qin clan will not be able to resist in a short time. Saving troops is like putting out a fire. In case the totem elite warriors step out and break through the Qin clan, I will not have the chance to regret it. Regardless, I must let all major totem powerhouses know. The totem powerhouses also made an agreement that they must not interfere with the secular competition." Shang Yi nodded and said, "Of course, the forefather dragon clan also turns a blind eye to the competition between the various clans of the Eastern Sea. They never interfere." He raised the corner of his mouth and said again, "Let's not talk about this for now, let's talk about it when we return to the coiled dragon royal mansion. Perhaps my father-in-law can give you some advice." Qin Wushuang nodded. "Brother, please arrange it, sorry for disturbing you." "Ha ha, why are you treating me as an outsider? If you didn't help me in the beginning, I am afraid I would have become a wronged soul of the Nine Palace faction." When they arrived at the falling treasure gulf, there was no need to fly. Shang Ye's coiled dragon flying boat flew at a fast speed and was safer and more convenient. At the falling treasure gulf, the flying boat of the coiled dragon clan was their signature. Along the way, not to mention looking for trouble, anyone would step aside respectfully when they saw this flying boat. In the world of the beast clans, they revered power more directly than humans. Power meant everything. When they arrived at the coiled dragon royal mansion, with the identity of the palace master of the coiled dragon clan, of course Su-Mi could make the best arrangements. She settled Qin Wushuang and Murong Su in the guest house. Unfortunately, Long Debao was not in the palace at the moment. Shang Yi and Su-Mi could only stay with Qin Wushuang for now. Fortunately, Long Debao's trip would not take too long. He would be back in 10 days or half a month. Brother, at the coiled dragon royal mansion, don't worry about anything. Even if the Heavenly Emperor sect knew that you were here, they wouldn't dare to do anything. Anyone who dares to cause trouble in my coiled dragon clan, even if they are from the Heavenly Emperor Gate, I will kill them all without batting an eyelid." Qin Wushuang said, "Big brother, let me contact my family and fellow disciples first." Before leaving the Qin clan, the chief had told them that it was best not to use the communication jade plate. However, Qin Wushuang was worried about his family. Furthermore, with Big Brother Shang Ye's words, he felt a lot more at ease. Taking out the communication jade card, Qin Wushuang began to make contact. First, his father, Qin Lianshan, could not be contacted. Next, it was Tan Zhongqi, his teacher from the Stargaze Palace. He still could not contact him. Without any reason, Qin Wushuang panicked inwardly. How could this be? Unless the communication jade token was sealed, it could still be used even if the forbidden land of God collapsed. Big brother, your falling treasure abyss didn't seal the communication jade pendant, right? Shang Yi smiled and said, "Why seal this? There is no such thing." The expression on Qin Wushuang's face changed. "That's not right. How come I cannot contact my family and fellow disciples?" Upon hearing his words, Murong Su's heart also sank. He walked over with concern. "Big brother Qin, you can't contact them?" Qin Wushuang nodded gravely. "Yes, there is no news at all. After you left the aspiring throne mountain, didn't you contact them?" Murong Su said. "At that time, I did inform them to leave the human countries and enter the endless Eastern Sea to seek refuge." Calculating the time, they would have made it in time. After that, I did not contact them. Until today, The Heavenly Emperor Gate should not have acted this quickly, right? Besides, they did not know you left the aspiring throne mountain beforehand. When they learned about it, there was ample time for them to seek refuge at the endless Eastern Sea. Murong Su analyzed and also felt that something was wrong with this matter. Brother, you are saying that your family and fellow disciples entered the endless Eastern Sea to seek refuge? Shang Yi was moved inwardly when he heard these words. Qin Wushuang nodded. Yes. Shang Yi asked again, then are you sure they entered the endless Eastern Sea or not? Qin Wushuang shook his head. I am not sure about this. Big brother, I want to go take a look. Shang Yi nodded. Okay, this matter cannot be delayed. I will go with you. Su Er, how about you stay here with your sister? Murong Su shook her head slowly. Big brother Shang Yi, I want to stay with big brother Qin. At this critical juncture, Murong Su did not wish for Qin Wushuang to face everything alone. Regardless of the situation, she hoped that with her by Qin Wushuang's side, she would shoulder everything together. She held Qin Wushuang's arm lightly. Murong Su's picturesque eyes sparkled with dazzling lights. Then let's go together. Shang Yi was also slightly moved. At this moment, Bao Bao and Lone did not dare to make jokes. They knew the severity of the situation. If Boss family and fellow disciples went missing, it would not be good. That was the reverse scale that Boss cared about the most and could not touch the most. Fortunately, the endless Eastern Sea was close to the border of the human countries. It was also the territory of the Falling Treasure Gulf. In this territory, the Coiled Dragon clan held absolute weight. After about 10 days of traveling with the Coiled Dragon flying boat, they arrived at the border. When Shang Yi arrived at this place, he was also filled with thousands of thoughts. Initially, he had barged into the endless Eastern Sea from this area and was accidentally saved by Sumi. That was how he experienced this dreamlike turning point in his life. Thinking about it now, he was truly in a trance. However, now he did not have the time to reminisce about the past. As he watched Qin Wushuang's increasingly grim expression, vividly, Shang Yi was also somewhat worried. If they went missing at the endless Eastern Sea, the problem could be serious or light. No one could guarantee what kind of situation it would be. Su Er, let's go take a look over there. Qin Wushuang and Murong Su both jumped up and arrived at the island where they had gathered with their clansmen. There are fresh footprints here, Qin Wushuang said with a complicated tone. After he took a closer look, his expression became even more complicated. It's them, they have already arrived at the endless Eastern Sea. The good news is that they were not captured by the Heavenly Emperor Gate. The bad news is that there is no news or traces of them at the moment. A trace of uneasiness flashed across Qin Wushuang's mind. If they had already entered the endless Eastern Sea, unless they had encountered a predicament, it was impossible that they could not activate the communication jade plate. Shang Yi and Sumi also walked onto the island and asked with concern, "Brother, how is it?" Qin Wushuang explained the situation, and Shang Ye's expression was also somewhat grave. This way, most likely something happened to them at the endless Eastern Sea. Qin Wushuang said, "Something happened at the endless Eastern Sea." This, Shang Yi waved his hand. "Brother, don't worry, this is the Falling Treasure Gulf. If they were not swallowed by the tsunami or attacked by monsters, I will immediately ask Su Er to send her spiritual perception to all cave dwellings and all leaders of the territories at the Falling Treasure Gulf to ask them to assist with the investigation." Without a doubt, the Falling Treasure Gulf was qualified. Shang Yi and Sumi exchanged a glance. Sumi returned to the Coiled Dragon flying boat and activated the Coiled Dragon commanding plate to pass the news. Instantly, all cave dwellings and territory masters at the Falling Treasure Gulf received the Coiled Dragon commanding plate. "Brother, now we can only wait. If there is news, they would not dare to not report it." Shang Yi comforted Qin Wushuang. Qin Wushuang's mood had slightly calmed down. Yet, in the end, he still felt uneasy. With the endless Eastern Sea being so dangerous, it was uncertain if something had truly happened. Among the martial artists of the human countries, the strongest were the head palace master, the second palace master, and his brother-in-law, De Shi Ming. They were all close to the profound void martial stage. The others, including his father Qin Lianshan and the other 3 palace masters, had only entered the refined void martial stage. It could be said that with such strength, they could absolutely sweep across the human countries. Even in the ordinary state cities of the Xian Yuan Mound, they could secure a high position. However, compared to those prefecture masters and the elite warriors of the third- and second-rate powerhouses, the difference was obvious. Therefore, with such strength, at the endless Eastern Sea, even at the border area, one would not dare to say it was 100% safe. After 3 days, there was still no news and no information. Qin Wushuang's mood was filled with even more haze. Shang Yi was rather proactive as he asked Sumi, "Su'er, list out all the cave dwellings and territory masters with power nearby. Let me see which ones are there." Sumi said, "Okay, if it's these bastards that did it, I will peel off their skin. They even dared to make a move on my brother-in-law's family. They are going against the heavens." Soon, a list of names was drawn up. Within the surrounding 10,000 miles of sea, there were 3 or 4 powerhouses that could threaten Qin Wushuang's family. Considering the problem of depth, Sumi also listed out a few other powerhouses that could threaten them. The Spiritual Turtle Island, the 100 Battle Island, the Hissing Moon Island, the Quicksand Ridge, the Great Thorn Cave Dwelling, and the Red Bright Cave Dwelling. In total, there were these 6 powerhouses. Sumi listed out the list of these 6 powerhouses and said, "I will send out the Coiled Dragon Command again, and ask their leaders to gather here and listen to my interrogation." "Sister-in-law, this is too difficult for you," Qin Wushuang said apologetically. "Brother Wushuang, what are you talking about? For these guys, if it's truly related to them, I will do whatever you say." Sumi was rather straightforward. "I just hope everyone is fine. It's secondary whether I deal with them or not. They are the powerhouses of the endless Eastern Sea. It's reasonable for them to be hostile to foreign martial artists." Qin Wushuang was not an unreasonable person. Of course, when he said these words, it was only to make Sumi feel better. "The leaders of the Hissing Moon Island and the Scarlet Bright Cave Dwelling are not here?" Sumi swore. "Where did they all go?" "However, the leaders of the other 4 powerhouses are already here." At some hidden place of the Hissing Moon Island, a small leader crossed his legs leisurely and enjoyed the beauty of the Whale Clan. He only felt that this life was incomparably wonderful. "Island Master, why is he not back yet? This time, I have prepared a great gift for him, ha ha ha. I hope that Lord Island Master can give me the position of Vice Island Master this time." The squad leader thought happily. A few of his subordinates on the side nodded and bowed to flatter him. To be continued. If you want to know the future, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 735. At a secret area of the endless Eastern Sea, the Hissing Moon Island Master, who was training, shot a glance at the communication jade plate. A trace of a cold sneer spilled out from the corner of his mouth. Darn it, in just a few days, she sent out the Coiled Dragon command plate twice. That slut is simply using a chicken feather as a command arrow. Who does she think she is? She dares to order me around. Humph, I will pretend I did not receive it. As he said this, he closed the communication jade plate and ignored it. Qin Wushuang stood with his hands behind his back and tried his best to not reveal his emotions. Although he was extremely nervous inwardly, it was inappropriate for him to show it. Sumi changed her easygoing attitude when she was talking and laughing with Qin Wushuang. With a straight face, she said with a cold voice, "Four of you, my little brother-in-law has a group of friends that went missing near the endless Eastern Sea. Do you truly not have any information from your respective sects, or are you just doing it half-heartedly? Do you think my words are not effective?" How could those four leaders dare to act pretentious before Sumi? They immediately pointed to the sky and swore, "Miss Sumi, how many heads do we have that we would dare to act pretentious before you? We truly did not receive any information and would not dare to speak nonsense before you. Don't try to fool me. Who doesn't know that each of your sects have their own intelligence network? You will be the first to know when the wind blows and the grass moves." Those four leaders cried out their grievances. "Miss Sumi, this time, we truly did not receive any information. Or else, how could we dare to play tricks before you?" Sumi revealed an ashen expression. With her charming appearance, she looked at these four guys coldly. "It seems I will not get anything out of you. The person went missing in this area. Very good, I will not use the coiled dragon command plate to suppress you. You four are good. Whoever gets the exact information first will have the chance to acquire the strongest weapon beneath the Supreme Tao stage." As soon as those four leaders heard these words, their hearts thumped. In this tens and thousands of miles area, these leaders were all heroes of an area. However, across the entire Falling Treasure Gulf, they were only second or third-rate existences. Their strength was only at the perfect void martial stage. To them, it would definitely be a great temptation to acquire the strongest weapon beneath the Supreme Tao stage. It was not strange that their eyes lit up. The leaders of the Hissing Moon Island and the Scarlet Bright Cave Mansion did not come. They are highly suspicious. Go investigate. Since I have spoken, I will definitely be able to fulfill my promise. Remember, only the first person who delivers useful information is qualified to receive it. The others will have to come here for nothing. Yes, Miss Sumi, we will go and investigate. Please rest assured. If they are really missing in this area, we will be able to find some clues no matter what. The four leaders made a solemn vow, expressed their stance, then turned around and left. Sumi sneered coldly and said, "These guys won't release the hawk without seeing the hare. If I didn't care about my reputation, I would have directly told them that if there was no news, they would all be killed. I believe they will be more efficient." Qin Wushuang was here, but it was not convenient for him to make the decision. Everything could only be done according to Sumi's method. After waiting patiently for a long time, the 100 War Island Master was the first to send a message. "Miss Sumi, according to the information, the Howling Moon Island Master has already left for more than half a year and has yet to return. As for the Cave Master of the Crimson Bright Cave, he has been in closed-door training in the cave for about 3 months. What's the use of this nonsense?" Sumi asked bluntly. "Heh, since the Howling Moon Island Master is not on the island, I plan to go and investigate personally. Those fellows from the Howling Moon Island have always been lawless. Perhaps I can find out some useful information? All right, then go quickly and return quickly." Sumi frowned. This Howling Moon Island could be said to be a thorn in the Falling Treasure Abyss. Because the location of this Howling Moon Island was at the edge of the Falling Treasure Abyss territory, it was a controversial area. On one hand, the Howling Moon Island belonged to the Falling Treasure Abyss. On the other hand, the Howling Moon Island had eyes with the Green Universe Abyss. That Green Universe Abyss was the territory of the Horned Dragon Clan. It had never been on good terms with the Coiled Dragon Clan of the Falling Treasure Abyss. Therefore, this Howling Moon Island had always been a thorn to the Falling Treasure Abyss. If not for considering the problem of reputation, with the Coiled Dragon Clan's style, they would have razed the Howling Moon Island to the ground long ago. It was just that they never had an excuse and evidence. Sumi muttered to herself coldly, "Howling Moon Island, I hope it has nothing to do with you." Qin Wushuang volunteered himself and said, "Sister-in-law, I want to make a trip to that Howling Moon Island. Sumi said somewhat awkwardly, Brother Wushuang, if you go to that Howling Moon Island now and they get wind of it, it will not be easy to deal with it. When the coiled dragon command was issued, they already got wind of it. Shangyi said, Brother, I will go with you. At this moment, news came from the 100 Battle Island. Miss Sumi, according to my investigation, this matter is most likely related to the Howling Moon Island. How so? Some joy emerged from between Sumi's brows. A moment ago I caught a little pawn of the Howling Moon Island and interrogated him. During the time when the Howling Moon Island master was not here, a guy called Kudo was extremely active as he hunted all over the endless Eastern Sea. It seems that a while ago, he attacked a human martial artist ship. When Sumi heard this, she shouted, All right, don't beat the grass to scare the snake, we will go now. When the coiled dragon flying boat started up, it only took a few hours to travel a few tens of thousands of miles. Soon, they arrived at the Howling Moon Island. When the Howling Moon Island heard that Miss Sumi had arrived in person, no one knew what had happened. The few island masters on the island all came out to greet her carefully. I didn't know Miss Sumi would be honored by your presence. Excuse me for not going out to meet you, haha. Sumi looked at these 3 deputy island masters coldly. Where is your island master? The island master went out to train and has not returned for half a year. Miss Sumi, why are you suddenly looking for my island master? Humph humph, the Howling Moon Island master has a bad temper now. When I issued the coiled dragon command, there was no news. Sumi's coiled dragon command only reached the first leader. Therefore, these deputy island masters were at a loss. They looked at each other in dismay and did not know about this matter. In terms of strength, the Howling Moon Island was indeed the strongest existence in this area. The Spiritual Turtle Island, the 100 Battle Island, compared to the Howling Moon Island, the difference was obvious. Because of this, the Howling Moon Island master felt he had the capital to deal with the 2 major dragon clans and wanted to obtain the greatest benefit. Miss Sumi, perhaps the island master is in solitary training and did not receive the message. Yes, it must be a misunderstanding. How could our Howling Moon Island dare to play tricks before Miss Sumi? Sumi said lightly, I don't want to speak any more nonsense. I only want to ask you, my brother-in-law's clansmen and colleagues went missing when they were guests at the endless Eastern Sea. For this matter, some people said it was your Howling Moon Island that did it. The complexion of the 3 deputy island masters changed at the same time. Their brother-in-law's clansmen? It sounded like they had a deep relationship. It was no wonder that Miss Sumi had mustered such a large force. However, what clansmen, what colleagues, they had never seen them before. Miss Sumi, is there a misunderstanding? Now, the 3 of us are in charge of this Howling Moon Island. We are well aware of each of our movements. I swear to the heavens that we have never done such a thing. Miss Sumi, how many clansmen and colleagues does your brother-in-law have, and what do they look like? Yes, I heard that Miss Sumi's son-in-law is a human martial artist. It's been a long time since a human martial artist came to our Howling Moon Island. Humph, your words are pleasant to hear. Here, is there a guy called Kuda? Sumi asked coldly. Yes, there is such a person. Kuda is the trusted aide of the island master. Then the whereabouts of this Kuda, his actions, are they under your eyes? Sumi asked. This. Not to hide it from you, Miss Sumi, Kuda is deeply favored by the island master. We truly cannot supervise his actions. However, how could that kid have the guts to harm your relatives? Don't be in a rush to clear your name, call that Kuda first. Okay, we will send someone to call him. No need to send someone, just use your spiritual perception. Also, you are not allowed to tell him what is going on. Okay, we will do as you say. Although those 3 deputy island masters were also overlords of a region, they would not dare to act rashly before Sumi. Although they were also at the perfect void martial stage, and were similar to Su-mi and Shang-yi, they were the princess of the Coiling Moon Island. How could they neglect her since she was the princess of the Coiled Dragon clan? When Kuda received the message, he took a look and did not mind it. Why are these three old guys looking for me? How can I, Kelda, be someone they can order? He ignored them and threw the communication jade plate to the side. Those three deputy island masters took turns to activate the jade plate, their faces gloomy and uncertain. This Kuda was getting more and more arrogant. He even ignored the communication. Why are you still hemming and hawing? Su-mi's cold voice sounded again. No, this Kuda is usually somewhat spoiled. Although the three of us are deputy island masters, we can't call him. Is that so? You three deputy island masters joined hands and you actually can't call him? He is really a lawless guy. Alright, since we can't call him, tell us his address and we will go find him ourselves. One of the deputy island masters' expression changed. How can we let Miss Su-mi go in person? They were actually not worried that Miss Su-mi would be rude if she went to find him. Instead, they were worried that if this matter was really related to Kuda, then Hissing Moon Island would be in trouble. Lead the way. If you keep hemming and hawing, I won't be polite anymore, Su-mi said coldly. The three deputy island masters looked at each other in dismay, but they were stubborn and could only lead Su-mi to Kuda's residence. Boom. Su-mi directly used her dragon whip to blast open the restriction of Kuda's residence and shouted, Kuda, get out! Kuda was just enjoying himself when he was shouted at by a woman's voice. He was furious. Where did this bitch come from? How dare you talk to me like this? One of the deputy island masters shouted, Kuda, don't be rude. It's Miss Su-mi. As soon as Kelda heard this, the evil thoughts in his mind immediately disappeared. He walked out quickly but refused to come closer. Instead, he said from afar, Miss Su-mi? I, Kuda, don't have any interaction with Miss Su-mi. What do you mean by coming here so aggressively? Su-mi did not say anything. Her dragon whip directly wrapped around Kuda. Kuda smiled coldly. His figure flashed and went around like a slippery fish. He said faintly, Miss Su-mi, you are a noble. It won't look good if I offend you. To be continued. If you want to know what happened next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. Chapter 736. Su-mi said coldly, Try offending me. Kelda put on a fake smile. You are the daughter of the Coiling Dragon clan. Kelda cannot afford to offend you. Why? Do you think that if I am not the daughter of the Coiling Dragon clan, you can afford to offend me? Haha, if you are not the daughter of the Coiling Dragon clan, smashing my cave door and ruining my mood, I would not be so easy to talk to. Kelda had a mischievous face. Obviously, this person was overly favored. Relying on his high cultivation, he was slightly stronger than the three Vice Island Masters. If it were not for his lack of qualifications, he could have taken the position of Vice Island Master. It was just that the Island Master did not make any arrangements, which made him anxious. Qin Wushuang and Shang-yi looked at each other, their thoughts connected. The two of them jumped into the cave. You two, what are you doing? The three Vice Island Masters stopped them together. Although they did not get along well with Kelda, barging into the cave seemed to be too much of a bully. Shang-yi said indifferently, Vice Island Masters, if you don't want to encounter an undeserved disaster, please step back. We are just looking for someone. Kelda said angrily, Looking for someone? I think you are deliberately bullying me. Qin Wushuang's cold gaze locked onto Kelda. He said indifferently, Kelda, is it? I don't care how much the Hissing Moon Island Master dotes on you, or how great your background is, or how proud your origin is. I only want to tell you that if my clansmen and fellow disciples are captured by you, Your only choice is to let them go. If they have been harmed by you, you and the entire Hissing Moon Island wait to be buried with them. Qin Wushuang did not have a trace of human emotion. His tone was awe-inspiring. His figure dashed and turned into a stream of light, disappearing into the void. After searching one round, there was nothing. After expanding the search area, there was still nothing. Qin Wushuang's figure flashed and returned to Kelda's cave door. His expression became more and more serious. He stared at Kelda. Kelda was frightened and proud in his heart. Humph, I don't know where this kid came from. So arrogant. However, does he think that he can find where those people are locked up just by searching? Haha, such a guy who overestimates himself. Island Master, come back quickly. Otherwise, I really won't be able to hold on. The faces of the 3 Vice Island Masters were also ashen. Their eyes were very bright. They were clear about Su Mi's origin. They were also clear about who Shang Yi was. However, they did not recognize this arrogant young man in front of them. Naturally, they were unhappy that an outsider was behaving so rampantly on their island. Mister, although my Hissing Moon Island isn't big and our forces are ordinary, I don't think you can just barge in as you please, right? If it wasn't for Miss Su Mi's presence, do you believe that your corpse would be lying here today? Qin Wushuang's eyes flashed with anger. He gently swept his sleeves, but was stopped by Murong Su. Big brother Qin, calm down. Don't make things difficult for Sister Su. Qin Wushuang nodded slowly, took a deep breath and said, if it weren't for the fact that Miss Su is in a difficult position, why would I be so polite and chatter with you here? He turned his gaze to Kelda. I'll ask you one last time. Were my clansmen and fellow disciples abducted by you? This is your last chance. If you don't answer or answer randomly, you can consider the consequences yourself. Kelda was unscrupulous. You haven't found the person, and you can't catch the evidence. What can you do to me? He sneered. Kid, I think you're crazy, right? I've lived for hundreds of years. Since when did I not dare to take responsibility for my actions? If you have the ability, find the person, and I won't say anything. I accept my punishment. If you haven't caught the evidence, stop wasting time here. Qin Wushuang was so angry that he laughed. All right, then don't blame me for using some impolite method. After Qin Wushuang finished speaking, his eyes suddenly flashed. A divine light shot out from between his eyebrows, and a divine venomous puppet shot out directly. Why do you have to search so hard? It directly entered your divine sense to search. At this moment, a ray of light flashed in the void and shot directly at Wushuang's puppet divine light. Boom! When the two forces collided, Wushuang's divine light was actually swept away. Island Master? At this moment, a tall figure descended out of thin air. This person had a head of golden hair, and his figure was as tall as 2 normal people. With one look at this appearance, one would know that it was the appearance of the Beast Clan. Who dares to behave atrociously in my Hissing Moon Island? This person's voice was like thunder, but his eyes flickered with a treacherous aura. This person was the Island Master of Hissing Moon Island, Gu Xiao. His eyes glanced indifferently, as if he had inadvertently seen Miss Su Mi, and he smiled casually. It turns out that the coiled dragon princess has arrived. No wonder your power is so great. Haha, sorry for not coming out to meet you. This Gu Xiao's aura was obviously much stronger than those few leaders of other forces. In front of Miss Su Mi, he could actually be so calm. This was the first time that Qin Wushuang failed to use the divine venomous puppet. He could not help but size up this Gu Xiao. This person's cultivation was actually at the peak below the Supreme Tao stage. I didn't expect that the Island Master of Hissing Moon Island was so different from the other leaders. No wonder he ignored Miss Su Er's coiled dragon token. This kind of ambitious and ruthless character thinks highly of himself. If one is not a Supreme Tao strong practitioner, it's very hard to move him, right? However, this kind of cultivation, why would the current Qin Wushuang put it in his eyes? Island Master, I also don't know where this kid came from. Once he came in, he barged into this subordinate's cave residence without permission. I'm afraid that the few treasures in this subordinate's cave have already gone missing? That Kelda, the villain, complained first. Gu Shao clearly knew that Kelda was deliberately making a false countercharge, but he muttered to himself. This matter is not easy to handle. It's Miss Sumi who brought him here. No matter what, I have to give Miss Sumi some face. At this time, Sumi had already received Shang Ye's hint, asking her not to intervene. Sumi originally still planned to give some face to this Gu Shao. However, this guy said so. Clearly, he did not even put her, the coiled dragon princess, in his eyes. Sumi was angry in her heart. Naturally, she was happy to see him make a fool of himself. Island Master Gu Shao, it's true that I brought him here. However, my coiled dragon clan also does not want others to say that we are taking advantage of our power to bully others. This friend's lawsuit with your Hissing Moon Island, my coiled dragon clan will not intervene. Both of you will bear all the consequences. Gu Shao narrowed his eyes into a line and asked lightly, Miss Sumi, are you speaking the truth? Yes. This way, even if my Hissing Moon Island has offended this friend, your coiled dragon clan will not take offense. Since I said I will not intervene, it means I am letting you do as you please. Good. Indeed, Miss Sumi is a straightforward person. Gu Zhao's expression sank as he stared at Qin Wushuang and said, Kid, you have barged into my Hissing Moon Island, how should we settle this debt? You have sneakily attacked my subordinate, how should we settle this debt? Not to mention that my Hissing Moon Island did not capture your people, even if we did, it is not up to you to act presumptuously. Murong Su gave a light sigh and shook his head. Brother Qin, don't kill too many irrelevant people. When the matter had developed to this point, Murong Su knew that this Hissing Moon Island had completely offended Brother Qin. Once Brother Qin activated his killing mode, most likely this Hissing Moon Island would become the next heavenly Luo Daoist sect. Indeed, a ruthless smile spilled from the corner of Qin Wushuang's mouth. Gu Shao, you better pray that your stupid subordinate did not cause trouble for you. If my clansmen and colleagues had truly killed a single hair on your Hissing Moon Island, I can tell you very clearly that the consequences will be beyond your imagination. When Gu Shao heard these words, it seemed as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. He roared with laughter to the sky. Ha 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 ha, how long has it been? How long has it been since I heard such a cute threat? Little one, if I am not wrong, you are only a martial artist at the Ravine Mysterious stage, right? Do you know what my cultivation level is? Are you at the Supreme Tao stage? Qin Wushuang asked with a cold mocking tone. Although I am not at the Supreme Tao stage, when I restore my true body and enter a berserk state, what can an elite warrior of the Supreme Tao do to me? Unless you have reached the coagulate Supreme Tao stage at the 6th calamity. Otherwise, in front of me, you really have no right to be arrogant. Really? Qin Wushuang smiled faintly. Then give it a try. Qin Wushuang laughed and shook the seal scroll. The dark-backed mysterious snake and the swallowing sky lion dragon immediately scurried out. The two spiritual beasts at the peak of the common mysterious stage suddenly emitted a monstrous aura. It covered the entire scene. The two spiritual beasts at the peak of the common mysterious stage had an astonishing aura. Gu Zhao's expression changed slightly. Summoned beasts at the peak of the common mysterious stage? Little one, it seems that you do have some trump cards. However, even if there are 10 of them at the peak of the common mysterious stage, so what? Even if I, Gu Shao, don't show my Dharma body, I am not afraid of them. After speaking, the aura of his whole body was urged and the golden hair stood up. Circles of light were urged out and formed a confrontation with the aura formed by the two spiritual beasts at the peak of the common mysterious stage. Boom! With the sound of air explosion, the two auras collided and shot in all directions. The aura dissipated and rose in spirals into the sky. Gu Shao roared, "Little one, just accept your fate." After speaking, his body shook and immediately transformed into his real body in the sky. It was a huge sea eel with an extremely fat body, like a huge whale lying in front of him. The dark-backed mysterious snake raised its tail and used its innate supernatural power, poisonous teeth. Inherited secret skill, swallowing sky. Roar. 2 attacks were launched toward the sea eel. The sea eel's whole body was urged by the yellow light. Suddenly, a thick layer of protective divine light surged and emitted circles of ripples on the surface of its body, which was very dazzling. Boom! The innate supernatural power and inherited secret skill were all ineffective. Too weak. Haha, too weak. Gu Shao laughed and his voice was like thunder. He shouted, "Little one, if this is all you have, just wait for your death." At this moment, a small spiritual beast jumped out in front of Qin Wushuang. It was the sky-pilfered mole. "Master, under this guy's cave residence there is a layer of restriction mechanism. It seems to be a prison. There are many people imprisoned in it. It has some similarities with Master's aura." The coldness on Qin Wushuang's face suddenly spread like frost. His whole person was like an ice sculpture, and his cold eyes shot toward Gu Shao. "Gu Shao, what else do you have to say?" Gu Shao was stunned at first. He glanced at Kelda and saw that Kelda's eyes were twinkling. There seemed to be something hidden. He made a prompt decision and roared, "Say what? I, Gu Mohan, have always fought first before being reasonable. You little one, you trespassed into my cave residence, so you deserve to die. What's the big deal about catching a few of your people?" Qin Wushuang nodded. "Okay, you said it. Since that's the case, then Hissing Moon Island, good luck." After he had finished speaking, Qin Wushuang's entire body trembled, as if he had been possessed by the god of death. From his pupils, waves of devilish lights emerged. A wave of strong murderous intent surged violently like a wild horse that had escaped its reins. To be continued. If you want to know what will happen next, please go to www.chidian.com. There are more chapters. Support the author, support the original reading. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.